start the recording and call this meeting to order at 7:01 on my computer, and it may be 7 o'clock or 7:02 on others. My name is Laura Myers, and I am the UNNC president. And John, did you figure out that I, along with Teresa, made you a co-host? Since Teresa's going to be taking roll in minutes and I'm going to be doing this, will you watch the waiting room for us, please?
I will.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen with our governing board agenda. And if you all can let me know when you can see it. Is it visible yet?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, and so thank you. So we've called the meeting to order, and Teresa, can you please read the roll?
Yes. Jasmine Johnson. Jasmine is absent. Dorit Dowler Guerrero. Here. Dorit's here. Dolores is absent. Raheem Dawson.
He just arrived. He just arrived. I just clicked.
Okay. Okay. Taylor Fife. Taylor.
Present.
Thank you. Raheem Dawson.
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you. Charlie Papp is absent. Paul King.
Present.
Paul is present. Carlos Carrick.
Present.
Carlos is here. Laura Myers.
Here I am.
Laura is here. Sarah Long Henry.
Here.
Sarah is here. Paula is absent. Grace Yu.
Here.
Grace is here. Lolita Justice. Lolita is absent. Dennis Lesky.
Here.
Dennis is here. Karine Alprecht.
Here.
Karine is here. Teresa Masonette is here. Michael Kimbrough. Michael is absent. Chris Carlson. Chris is absent. Greg Jackson.
Present.
Greg is present. Nancy Cruz.
Here.
Nancy is here. Sarah Lacey.
Here.
Sarah is here. Lizzie Moro Misato.
Here.
Lizzie is here. John Arnold.
Yep. Here.
John is here. We have quorum.
Jasmine entered the room during roll call.
Okay. Jasmine, are you here?
Yes,
Jasmine?
I'm here.
Okay, Jasmine is
Yep.
here. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to draw your attention to item number 2, a determination to continue to hold meetings virtually. The Board of Neighborhood Commissioners and Department of Neighborhood Empowerment have established that BONC has the authority to essentially allow neighborhood councils to continue to meet virtually, and to determine that due to the COVID-19 state of emergency, meeting in person would present imminent risk to the health or safety of attendees. So we're holding this meeting pursuant to that directive. In addition, I want to draw your attention to our policies and procedures on timed agenda. So we do have a timed agenda. Want to advise people that that doesn't necessarily mean we will stick exactly to these times. Since you're already here, please don't try to time your attendance on a particular item, meaning leave the room and hope it'll come back at exactly the same time. It may not be so. And the next item is the approval of the agenda. So I'm going to quickly scroll through the agenda, which is on the screen, and noting that, we'll talk about meeting protocols. There will be perhaps some reports from government officials, a brief discussion of the role of parliamentarian and the possibility of appointing a second backup parliamentarian. Board member training report may or may not occur because Dolores is absent. We have divided the treasurer's report into 2 sections. Up front, a treasurer update, and near the end, you'll see the other reports. We have a community impact statement from the Homelessness Liaison Committee, We have several items from Communications Committee. We have a report and some recommendations from the Public Safety Committee, and 2 funding items, one a new request from Executive Committee, committee updates, President's report, Treasurer's report, Secretary's report. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'm at,
So moved.
hand raised.
I'm sorry, thank you, Greg. Your hand is raised for a comment or emotion.
Comment. Madam President, we had an open item from previous meetings concerning the use of interns.
I'm sorry,
Use of interns, college interns.
yes, but
and
it's not
so-
on this agenda.
Wait a minute, may I finish my question, please?
Yes.
So since it was an open item and it wasn't necessarily a matter of approval or BAC, can that just be part of the committee reports, be presented during the committee reports? Again,
That
not
would be
being
fine. I
involved-
mean, we can't add it to the agenda per se, but if it's a report, it certainly could be done under that.
All right, thank you.
Any other, okay, any other questions or comments, or do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion. to approve
I'm
the
sorry,
agenda.
I can't see hands while I've got the
Give me-
screen share. So does anybody have their hand raised?
I'll raise my hand to approve the agenda
Or, okay, Greg moves to
Yes.
approve the agenda,
with the modification I just suggested.
right, with the modification you just suggested.
I second, Lizzie.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to say all in favor. Can you please raise your virtual hands if you're in favor, or either on the screen or in the reactions? And either Teresa or John, can you tell me if it looks like we have a majority? Because I can't really see it.
Can you,
Yes,
Can you
we
lower
have,
the- can
we
you
have-
lower- can you
we
close to
have-
share?
we have 1, 2,
Oh.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
Okay.
16.
Motion passes. And yes, I can take down the share after this next item, if you don't mind. Meeting protocols, it's very brief discussion. And the main thing I want to point out is the chat is open, meaning everyone can chat to everyone or to the host. But we have been instructed by DUN, the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, that since we are keeping our chat open, it going forward, the chat itself, when saved, will be appended to our minutes. So we have asked that you use the chat only to do the following things. If you're posting, we have in a discussion and somebody's posting a piece of information, meaning a link to somewhere that's relevant, that's okay. Or, hi, everybody, that's fine. Or, I'd like to speak, but I can't raise my hand. Can you call on me? That's fine. But please don't make comments about items or random other comments, because they will be appended to the minutes, but we won't see them likely in the time frame that you're making the comment. So, and other than that, we always just ask that everyone be civil. With a resolution on civility is posted in the advanced agenda packet, but please raise your hand before you speak, wait to be called on, and let's all be neighborly. And that is it. And I will stop the share and ask if there are any public comments. And I do know we have a few members of the public present who would like to make some comments. So
Brittany's hand is up.
yes.
Everyone, Happy New Year. My name is Brittany. I am a neighbor and a community organizer working with Redeemer Community Partnership.
Brittany, excuse me, Brittany, we can't hear you that well.
Oh,
Can you-
okay.
Not sure if that's your speaker or something.
Yeah, okay.
That's much better.
Is it better? Okay. I'll just start again if that's all right. But yeah, hi, good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. My name is Brittany. I'm a neighbor of the community, and I work with Redeemer Community Partnership as a community organizer. As some of you may know, the past few months we've been trying to just share updates about the Murphy oil drilling site that's located within UNNC's jurisdiction at 2126 West Adams, in light of a public hearing that we're not entirely sure when it will be happening, but it will be taking place hopefully soon to review the operating conditions at this site. But one recent update that I wanted to share with everyone here was that we learned in November of 2021, there was a notice of violation issued at this site by the South Coast Air Quality Management District for a vapor leak that was detected to be greater than 50,000 parts per million. Unfortunately, this is not, the first instance of a leak on site. And while we are unsure what this vapor leak consists of, we know that 50,000 parts per million is the threshold where something like methane can become explosive. So again, this is just like another indicator that oil drilling is just fundamentally incompatible with community health and safety. So we hope to continue learning and sharing with UNNC. And yeah, just thank you for your time tonight.
Next up is Jacob Troops.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sienna and I might tag team this. We're both from the New Community Expo Walk. Laura, thanks so much for having us and inviting us to this meeting. I think we're just bringing up public comment. I don't know. I've heard from what Laura said via email that we have a lovely trash collection monopoly in our neighborhood and amongst all the city. And so we were just seeing what you all were doing. Currently, our service, I believe, is the same. It's Republic. And Republic is raising our rates very quickly. They have it a contract, and Sienna can talk a little bit more about that here in a second. It's like a 3 to 9% raise with the city every year with no opportunity to actually bid out or the community to find other vendors because they have a locked in 10-year agreement. And so Sienna, if you want to explain a little bit further, we'd love to offer it up to the neighborhood council and then see if there's anything that potentially could be done.
Yes, I have a quick question about, we want to inquire some information about what the neighborhood trash costs. We heard that single family housing trash costs about $40 a month. However, currently from the setup, we moved in about a few months ago, shy of 4 months ago, and our trash cost is $93 a month with no option to select what size of trash bins, nor opt out of any option. So every single unit in our community required to pay that $93 for trash services, and we just received a rate increase of 7.8%, which is over $100 a month. And there's no room for negotiation. We called Republic Service. They keep saying that their hands are tied and there's a contract in place. And so if we just kept spinning around between the city of LA and Republic Service, and we have, no options to do anything. So we hope that the neighborhood council can provide some insight or maybe provide some information about what neighborhood trash costs are, so we can have, a peace of mind, also a room to negotiate in the future.
Great, thanks, Sienna. I see no other hands up, Laura.
Right. So we're not, yeah, I'm sorry. We're not allowed to respond to public comment, but we'll try and figure out which of our UNNC committees would be the appropriate place to refer this to. And off the top of my head, I'm not sure what it is, but we'll try and figure that out. And then Teresa had her hand up.
I'm good.
Okay.
Never mind. Thank you.
I see no other hands.
Greg has his hand up, but he's muted.
Never mind, because my guest is running around behind me. Can our other guests put their contact information, email, etc., so that if anyone has any follow-up questions about their projects, we can contact them or look at their websites if they have websites? That was the
Okay.
question.
Well,
So-
they may choose to do so, yes. They're enabled to do so.
Okay.
Okay. And are there any other public comments? And hearing none, we can move on to government agency reports. And I do know that Ms. Riley is here. Naomi, you're here?
Yes, I am.
Hi, and do you want me to share the screen with what you sent, or do you want me to make you a co-host to share?
That if you could share, that would be awesome.
Okay, so I'm just gonna do the image and then the, I made a PDF out of your email.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So there's the image. And if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. My name's Naomi. I think I've been here before. I recall, meeting everyone here, but I'm a field representative in Senator Camlogger's office of the 30th District, and really just here to, one, give updates and also let you all know that if you all ever need anything from our office, any support, guidance, if you want to support, bills or offer up legislation, we are here for you all in that regard as well. In this new year, the senator is going to also be having a legislative advocacy week that we've been planning, where we are getting ready for this second session going into the new year, and getting ready to see the budget that the governor is going to propose, but then also the bills that we are going to continue to push forward, and then any new bill ideas as well. And so I wanted to come, especially today, to invite you all to our governor appointments workshop that we're hosting next Tuesday. It's a really awesome opportunity to just learn about the governor's appointments process. We'll be discussing what people should know about applying, any steps or best practices for filling out the application. And then we also have an opportunity for folks to be able to ask questions if they have specific questions that didn't get answered. And so this is in partnership with the governor's office, and then also Senator Camlogger will be there as well answering questions. So if you all are interested, I believe Laura may be able to, I can also drop the link in the chat. That might actually work
Yeah, if you
better.
would drop the link, it'd be good if you drop the link in the chat, because while I can email all of the board members, I can forward this
That would
email.
be right.
I can't forward it to other members of the public who might be present, because I wouldn't
Of
know their
course.
emails.
Of course. Okay, so I will drop it in the chat. And if you all have any questions, for me, my issue areas, I oversee education, K through 12 education, higher education, social services, the environment, women's issues, LGBTQ issues, Latina women, Black women. And so my portfolio is kind of extensive, but I'll be sure to drop that in the chat as well. And thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. And are there any other, besides Gibson, of course, government officials at the moment who are here to share with us? Okay. So Gibson, how you doing?
I am back in the game. Thank you, Madam President. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. Glad to be back with this whole board. I was telling Ms. Myers earlier, I was quarantined during the holidays, so so that was fun. My Christmas was spent making sure I got well from COVID, but I am back in the game. But definitely glad to be back. Just want to touch base. I know it's on the agenda, but we are following up on getting folks to complete their anti-bias training. I do know there are about 5 folks who have not completed it. You will be getting an email from me. I don't want to put anybody on blast right now, but I will definitely follow up with you guys, kind folks. So if you get an email, a phone call from me, if you need assistance in completing the anti-bias training, I will follow up. So I think also because having touched, I know this is in the in the agenda, but having sort of followed up with the department, because this board has a lot of board members that participate in the planning and land use training, I will follow up with everybody, but just asking if, I know there's a consistency of board members who go into the committees and want to participate in planning and land use issues. It may just be the result with just asking everybody to complete the planning and land use training. It's about Ms. Myers, if I'm wrong, it's about an hour or two, right?
John, I think you and I have taken this, what, 3 times? I think it's not quite 2 hours. I think it's hour and 15 maybe.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're an active participant in the planning and land use committee, I think that just would be the best course of action. And then if board members want to be active in that committee, just complete that training and then we'll be okay. So I can make sure that everybody is in the system. So the assessment was, we just, if there's not a solid number of committee members, then we'll just have the whole board do it. So if you want to participate in the planning and land use committee, just go. That would be the best way. And it's going to be in Cornerstone. Yes, Ms. Teresa.
Thank you, Gibson. I started taking that training a couple of days ago, before the end of the year, and it locked up on page 29, on slide 29, and then I exited. I came back, and it just stayed on slide 29. So I didn't have a chance to email you, and I haven't gone back in the past couple of days, but there seemed to have been a little snafu there.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's, if you can relog in this evening or tomorrow, just let me know, at least so we can see if it's something in the back end that it's recorded, and so I want to catch of it. And if we need to, I'll do a one-to-one with you so we can get that assessed.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
Hi there, John.
I had the same problem, Teresa, and it took about 3 times to get it unjammed, but eventually unjammed, but it was a problem. Gibson, is the training required for board members not at the committee to vote on planning and zoning issues at the governing board?
I say if you participate in that planning and land use committee, and you do planning and land use stuff from the committee, you must do the training. You should do the training. But if you're a board member who's good, if the planning and land use comes to the board, that's okay. But if you are active in that committee, please go ahead and do that training.
Right. Gibson, I also have a question. Is the training available in every single person's Cornerstone, or do you have to, so the department doesn't have to one by one select?
No. It's just, it's the way it's been done, it's just a little bit searchable. It's just, I'll send out the instruction on how to get it, but yes, it's accessible in Cornerstone. What we've done the consensus within the department is we're just going to keep Cornerstone as our central training portal. You will not get a new account, a new user for any other system just yet. And if we are to transfer to a different portal, it's going to stay the same thing. We are centralizing using one portal to keep it as simple as possible. So because logging in is a procedure, keeping the app is a procedure. So if we can minimize points of friction when it comes to completing training, then that would be that's the goal. Minimize as much work as possible.
Thank you. Okay, and do you have any other interesting information for us?
There was an update that was sent out on the code of conduct and the social media policy. So I will send a follow-up email for everybody. The Board of Commissioners are still extending that conversation. There have been some changes that were presented in the last board meeting, last commission meeting. So I'll just send out an email to everybody so you can get it. If this board wants to take action, submitting a committee impact statement on the code of conduct amendments and the social media policy, please go ahead and do so.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Gibson? Okay. Now, also, I'm hearing somebody talking in the background. So if please be mute on this Zoom meeting. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Any other government officials who might be here who have a report to give? Anybody from CD10? Okay, hearing none, seeing no hands. We are moving on to item 7, the role of the parliamentarian and the possibility of appointing, if anyone was interested the second parliamentarian. So Nancy, you're here. Do you want to talk a little bit about the role of the parliamentarian, please?
Sure. So the role of the parliamentarian is really to keep the meeting on track. I think it's someone that has to be familiar with the Roberts Rules of Order and then our bylaws and standing rules.
Okay. And is the parliamentarian not, the parliamentarian is not the moderator, but the parliamentarian is a person who, when we're going off track on time on a particular item, right? So you might have to say something in the middle of a session, correct?
Yes, that's right. So
Okay.
it's someone that tries to keep the meeting on track and on time.
Okay. So
I'm not sure if they're separate though. I don't know if, I don't know if the parliamentarian cannot also be the moderator.
it's not that they cannot also be. It's in the Dunn, I think, and Gibson might want to jump into, in the Dunn's virtual governance roles, they don't really link those two jobs, but it doesn't mean it couldn't be. I mean, John's been doing a lot of it. Before that, it was Jeff Camp when he was still at CD10. But there's no reason why a parliamentarian couldn't also be one of the co-moderators. It would require, and I'm sorry I didn't do this, it would require that I make you a co-host. Would you like to be a co-host? I can do that right now.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay for now.
Okay. So first of all, are there any questions for Nancy? And is there anyone who's a board member who would like to be remember we had done this at the retreat, we thought we ought to have 2 parliamentarians. Is there anybody who would want to be the second parliamentarian and potentially, Nancy, am I allowed to say? Yeah, so at some point this spring, so sad, Nancy's moving, which is probably a good opportunity, but at that point, we will need a replacement, a parliamentarian number 1, not yet. So it'd be great to have parliamentarian number 2 kind of sitting in the wings to become parliamentarian number 1. Greg?
I know that Chris Carlson mentioned that she is interested in the position, but she's not here.
Correct.
So I'm not going to nominate her in her absence, but I'll just put her name out there as she has expressed an interest in working in that area.
Okay. Okay. Well, we can move on because it wasn't meant to be more than a 5-minute. Oh, we can't move on for 1 more minute. So sorry, in the new rules under AB 361. So does anybody else have any question or comments? I mean, pertinent to parliamentarian, Greg, not what I know you want to say.
Yes. Okay, since we have to talk about this, yeah, I see the parliamentarian as like the sergeant of arms with us, of being a equal opportunity guardrails to make sure that no matter who we are, that we're following the procedures. As Nancy said, knowing the standing rules, knowing the Robert's Rule of Orders, knowing that if we said we were going to have 2 minutes per speaker, that the person speaks for 2 minutes, and that we go in order in speaking, and that also make sure that we don't get into debates about, well, unnecessary debates, because that's a very vague description itself. But yeah, so I think we really need that to keep us moving, mainly to keep us moving on time.
Okay, and we are at 7:30, but Dennis has his hand raised.
Thank you. It seems to me one of the most important functions of the parliamentarian is to keep us from talking too long on a particular issue. I wonder if there's a simple way to get a timer, like a stopwatch on the screen when someone starts talking, so we all can see where we got 1 minute, 10 minutes or whatever. That could take a lot of burden off the parliamentarian.
Mhm.
The simple way would be if somebody was willing to have in effect log in on 2 different Zoom screens, and the second one would be they have a timer. Department of Neighborhood Empowerment has been in talks with Zoom for 9 months on this very topic about Zoom creating an app that would be usable with a timer that doesn't prevent screen sharing. So in other words, we could have a timer and screen sharing, and thus far, no success in those conversations. Okay, we are at 7:31. So if anybody's really technically inclined and can log in from a double and wants to do that, that'd be great. So because people want to know how much time is left for them to speak. Okay, anything else? And if not, we can move on. So Dolores is not, well, for those who were curious, Dolores is back in Los Angeles as of a couple of hours ago, but she's so exhausted, she's not able to attend the meeting. Greg, I don't know if you're continuing to track board member training at all, or since it's been delegated to a different officer, we're just needing to pass.
I take out of that.
Okay, Teresa.
I table this item since Dolores is not here, and at least item A, since Dolores is not here, and then move on to the next one.
Right. So I feel that since Dolores is not here, we also don't, I mean, we should ask Carlos what's going on, but we don't have the material that we would need to do item B. So I think, Carlos, the question is, have you been able to take the ethics training? And if you haven't, if there's trouble, can you please contact Gibson and work it out, because this has gone on too long. So Carlos, can you address that, please?
Hi, Lars. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it was more so user error on my end, right? Whenever I try to log in, my login password, that sort of thing. So that's the challenge I'm trying to work through. But yeah, I'll take care of that.
Okay, yeah. What happened in part for all of us is that they've lately changed all the passwords. So if you could contact Gibson directly, and Gibson, if you can contact Carlos, and go back and forth, and just please get this handled. Nancy has her hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to second Teresa's motion
To
table.
Oh, so thank you. Do we need, I'm sorry, do we need a motion to table? I mean, a vote on a motion to table?
Yes, so I was just looking that up, and we do, and it needs to be passed by a majority.
Okay, so let us go back to 8A. Teresa made a motion to table. Nancy has seconded. Item 8A, board member training report update regarding anti-bias and planning 101 required training. But this item is specific to our board members, not the general report that Gibson had made. So it's been moved and seconded to table item 8A.
Can we just do it by raising hands?
Yeah,
Or do we have a discussion next? Or
I see hands up to oh, are these hands up? They're voting. Okay, thank goodness. I thought we suddenly were having a lot of comments. All right.
Looks good to me.
There's enough
Okay.
there for.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so on item 8B, it's not a motion to table so much as there's no action we can take. So we've had the discussion, and I think we move on, if that's okay with everybody.
Yep.
Okay. And it's 7:35. You know, this is interesting. We're on time, but I'm having to watch the time on everything because we're moving not too fast, but so fast.
No, we are. Come on, let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready to close.
Not too fast, but just right. Okay, item 9, treasurer update, and this is your part 1, not your part 2. That's later. Yes, there you go. You're on, Greg. Oh,
okay, good.
You need to screen share.
Yes.
Hang on. Yeah, hang on. You should be able to now.
Okay. let's see, share screen.
Greg, I'll do 5 minutes for each, unless you say otherwise.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so can everyone see this? Can everyone see this screenshot?
I
Yes.
can.
Okay, all right, so this short presentation is just to let us know how much money we have in the beginning of the meeting. It's kind of like looking in your wallet as you go into the store and checking the balance of your credit card before you start buying things, so that we will know how much money we have in each area. So to do this, all I want to do is just to give us, without going into great detail about the budget, just give us a screenshot of the overall budget. And the key things I want to focus on, again, not going into detail, is that we can see that our budget amount has increased, and that is because the funds from last year have been posted to this year. Those funds have been encumbered or earmarked, or whatever term you want to use. When we come over here to net availability, it looks like we have a lot of money, more than our original budget. That is somewhat deceptive because, again, those funds are, a lot of those funds are already earmarked for projects that are still pending. The issue, so that's the overview. And again, we don't want to go into detail. I just want you to see those two major points. The other thing is that when we start looking at spending money in different areas, we should see how much money we have left in that area. And so this is just a short, this section here is just a short version of that. For example, each of these lines here is the amount of money that we have available, balance left on those lines, like copy, which we hardly ever spend any money on copy, audiovisual, we hardly ever spend money on that. Miscellaneous expenses, that was some of the rollover money we put there. Temporary staff, this is the money that we have left after we pay another bill that's for the graphic designer. But neighborhood purpose grant, the balance that we have on that line is $1,000. And then we do have money in the community improvement projects. We have $6,000 there. If you recall, we had neighborhood purpose grants, we had community improvement projects. So we have money there, and we have money on the event expense. Because of COVID, we weren't really doing that many. We weren't doing any events, so we have money there. So I put a quick color code on this to say, really all these funds that we see in this column are available for us to use and to move around. But what I highlighted in purple, those are my strong recommendations for us to consider those funds if we wish to move funds around for anything else. And that balance is $15,261.11 of money that we actually have to spend. And please don't get really excited about seeing $40,000 when we look at the MERS, because again, money has been earmarked. So as we look at any requests that come up tonight, please keep in mind the money that's on those lines, and that if we entertain any funding requests, we will have to move funds from one of these other lines to cover that. That's my short brief. Any questions? Yes, Laura.
Well, more of a comment. Something you don't know. Whatever amount of money was charged at Print Depot, it was already allocated, but they haven't billed us yet. So for the Ciclavia, so there's Lizzie would know the amount, but there's no bill. And I do want to remind, because I got a reminder email, that the Amazing Grace Conservatory and their grant, they're having that event that we had broadly said we're going to try and help support. That's in late March or early April, and I did just sort of do an email, read the Riot Act. Were you expecting money from UNNC? You need to apply for it like right now. So, but reminding you, they had come to executive a couple months ago, but then they dropped the ball and they're picking the ball back up.
Okay, all right,
I have no idea the amount. I don't know if we'll ever say yes, but I'm just reminding you,
okay,
reminding us all.
all righty. All right, any other comments? Okay, again, I just want to remind us that we need to be mindful of the monies that we have in each area, and that we should govern our selection of granting funds based upon what we have in those pockets. And then if we want to do anything else, we will have to move those limited funds around. Okay, that's it. I think anything else on my section that I need to present? For now?
This on the budget snapshot, no, but were you gonna do any, you have 4 minutes, any status updates besides the one I just gave, which is Print Depot hasn't charged builders yet?
Sure. Yeah. Really, that can, yeah, let me do that in my budget report, because
Yeah, but we have
that's
3
like
minutes that we must spend.
oh my God. Okay.
Teresa has her hand up.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I have a question. I'm sorry. And
Yes.
please, Greg, do not extend past the 3 minutes.
Yes.
I know when we did the budget originally, we thought we may be going and having meetings in person. So we still have money set aside in that administrative column, correct?
Yes.
And if we do not go into, start meeting in person, how are we able to carry that money over, or how can we move that money into MPG, or what do we do with that? Can we use for
Yes.
other administrative purposes?
Okay, excellent question. A short and to the point answer is we would prefer to, during this quarter, is to say this, I would give everyone, this is the status of the funds that we have on each line. We look at any other needs that we have, and then we will move the money onto those active lines that we want to execute. So we look at the balance, which I just gave you a snapshot, and then we look at any requests that come before us, and we say we have a $10,000 request, but we have $4,000 here, and we have $4,000 here, and we have another $2,000 here, and then we can move money to fit that line. So yes, we can do that. And if we don't, we still can have some carryover money also.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So we don't have to, and I prefer that we not try to spend it all, because it's just not good money management to do that.
Right.
Tori, okay, Teresa, good. All right, Tori's hand is up. Yes, Tori.
Oh, Greg, I was going to ask, what would be the likelihood that I could put in a request for some of the food for the homeless count?
You could put in a request anytime you want.
Wait, Greg, she was specific to the homeless count, which is on January 27th. Yeah, I think it's too late for that, Tori.
Okay, you think so?
What?
Pardon me? Just probably a couple of hundred. I'm gonna have to see what LASA is and what they budgeted for me this time. Normally I get the most, but it's all different this time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The timing is an issue, and I guess this is something that I guess I need to pay more attention to. Is that what's supposed to happen whenever we have a funding request? All funding requests are supposed to go to the executive committee first, and then we review it at the executive committee, and then we bring it to the board.
Right.
Sometimes, like last month, something slipped through and I thought it was something else, and then someone else caught it, but then I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't catch that. So we don't want to be we do want to be a stickler for it, of following the protocol,
Yeah, don't worry about it. I just thought
I'm not just saying
ask.
that to you, I'm just saying it to all of us, because we know, everything doesn't come to mind immediately, but we want to try to make sure that we bring any funding requests to the executive board. That way we can do an analysis of, yeah, we have funds for that and we can move money around. That way, when we come to this level, we can just say, this is the recommendation for moving money. This is what they're asking for. This is consistent with our vision. And then also, am I at my 3 minutes? I think.
Yes, you're at time.
Now we've elapsed.
Okay, fine. I'll stop talking then. Good. Let's move on. Thank you. Thank you, good
Okay.
people.
Thank you. Nancy, was your hand up to say that we've elapsed?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay,
You're the
thank
one.
you.
Thank you, Nancy.
So I do want to tag on one more thing. For funding requests, there's no way we can ever approve money at a board meeting if it wasn't on the agenda. No matter what good cause it might be, that dollar amount has to be on the agenda as a funding request for a governing board. Okay, the item 10A, Homelessness Liaison Committee. A is the update regarding the Greater Los Angeles homeless count. And Tori, I imagine that is why you are here. If you're still here. Tori? Did she leave? No, Tori.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
I'm sure they must have had a deadline or something.
Tori. She's muted.
Okay, well,
She's
I'm
muted.
gonna
Tori, you're
start.
muted.
Maybe a big
Tori, can you
muted, buddy.
unmute?
What was the question, Laura?
You're up.
Do you have some updates? I know you do on the homelessness count, because I know, for example, the location has changed. Can you give us a very brief update about the homelessness count 2022 for South LA?
I can. First of all, I'd like to greet everyone and say happy holidays. And I would like to encourage you to register for the homeless count. And I put it, the website is in the chat. theycountwillyou.org. And it will give you instructions. We put the 90018 zip code in and selected Holman, and then it's supposed to default you to Exposition Park. So this is all new for me as well when we do a site change, but the process should be the same. We're going into a new training next week, and we'll just take it from there. But it'll be pretty much the same. Everybody will meet, and if UNC wants to put up a table like Jeff used to do, and bring in a team, or Empowerment Congress used to come and assist us, and USC. So now we're closer to them, so we may have enough volunteers on that evening. I usually average about 200, but I don't know how many maps they're giving me this time. So I just want to encourage everyone, please, to register. And yes, thank you to John. Thank you, Grace. Lizzie, you can come do some registration for me this time.
Right. And I have just shared the screen. I received an email today from LASA's, I will make it bigger in a sec, but an email about the volunteer trainings. In the past, they had done the training right there on site, but they're going to do it virtual this year. So now I'm going to make this bigger again. And
right.
And I mean, you can't sign up here on the screen, but again, this is something I will forward to board members. I don't have our other participants' emails, but there is a series of virtual volunteer trainings. And Tori, is it still true that they're asking for people to sign up in groups of 3, so in teams?
Well, I usually put no less than 3 together.
Okay.
So what they're suggesting or encouraging is that everyone comes with their team. But for those, I mean, they're going to have their masks. We're going to follow the CDC guidelines and do everything that we're instructed to do. But 3 to 4 is what I normally have in a car, unless it's a van. We could have 6 or so, 5 to 6. As long as we have those 3 positions, the navigator, the recorder, and the driver, then that should be sufficient. So I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be pretty much similar to what we've done before, just that it'll be outdoors with the pre-setup as opposed to being indoors. So we shall see when we look at this training. I'm sure it'll be a little different than what you're used to, for those of you who have done it with us in the past.
Okay. Are there any questions for Tori?
If there's any questions, my number, hold on, Laura.
And also, you guys, I'm just noticing, so I'm going to apologize. I'm not quite sure what to do with this, but I and nobody caught it, made a math mistake. So our times, we still have time allotments, but the times are incorrect starting from this moment forward. So maybe we'll do our normal habit and take too long on some of these items.
Right.
Just so sorry.
So Laura, I'm here. I just wanted to say, anybody feel free to call me. My number is the same, 310-991-6622. And we'll answer any questions.
And can somebody put that into the chat, please?
Lizzie has her hand up.
And Lizzie has her hand up.
Oh, okay, I can't see Lizzie, but let's see. Let me look for Lizzie. Go ahead, Lizzie.
Sorry, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, sweetie. So my question is the location the MLK, Martin Luther King address?
Martin Luther King?
No,
I went to the register for Holman, like you normally do.
Because I did not see it among the options.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do it again because I registered early. I'll do it again so I can see exactly what's going on. But my understanding is we're gonna meet at Exposition Park.
correct.
Mark, okay. Yes, because this is really my first time. All these years I have been tutoring on count day.
I know.
This year I can do it.
Wonderful.
You know, so
Wonderful.
but I wasn't sure. It said that I should choose the Martin Luther King Boulevard location, but I'll follow up with you, Tori.
Yeah, you can call me anytime. You know that.
So that I get to the right place.
Okay.
Okay.
And you will make sure that happens.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, thank you, John. Thank you, Greg.
Okay.
Teresa has a question.
Thank
No,
you.
that's what I wanted Tori's number in the chat. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Hi, Teresa. Okay, I hope I see all of you guys there for the wonderful experience you have to give back to the aiding and abetting and enhancing this homelessness issue. And I wish the next time we would count houses and residences so we could get places for them to live.
Okay, so for everybody, the confusion is, and Lizzie, what we're trying to do is get all of our team members into the same thing, and they're calling it West Adams. So I've just posted that. That used to be Holman, but they've moved the location to Exposition Park because of, I think, the way they want the cars to circulate in the home session. So that's the one to register at if you want to be with other people, although really you're going out in cars and teams and you're not going to interface with anybody anyway, but that would bring you back to this area for counting.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other? Okay.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you. So item 10B, proposed community impact statement regarding council file number 211415. And Dorit, that is you. Do you want me, Dorit, to first reshare the agenda that has the CIS on it, or do you want to share the screen with material?
What I'd like to do, if nobody has an objection, I just want to cut to the chase of what this motion is about. This motion is about making sure that people who work for the city of Los Angeles who are likely to come in contact with persons who are unhoused, that would be people, say sanitation workers, librarians, rec and park staff, are trained in a drug or a medicine, it's called Narcan, that stops an OD, from an opiate type of drug. The motion is, sorry, the motion, I'm very nervous. I don't talk public well. Forgive me. I will do everything in my power not to be really confusing. This motion is about making sure that people are trained in using this medication to stop ODs, to stop people from ODing. And it's not that if you're going to get the training and only can use it on someone who's homeless. If somebody is, say, if a rec and park staff is trained in using this nasal spray that turns around an OD. If a rec and park staff person is trained in it, and somebody's ODing, but they happen to just be, say, a teenager and not a homeless person, the rec and staff person can still use it on that person. It isn't like, oh, I can only use this on you if you are indeed homeless. We are losing lots of people. We are losing lots of unhoused people, housed people, celebrities. We are losing a lot of people to opiate ODs, especially with the amount of fentanyl that is out there in the community, that is out there. People don't even know they're using fentanyl sometimes because fentanyl is mixed with all sorts of other drugs. This is a little nasal spray. It is really easy to use. It's simple to use. It may not be easy. It probably is very emotional to find yourself in front of somebody who is dying of an overdose and to be able to have to be the person who has to save their lives. But it's better that people are trained in using this medicine than not trained. It's better that we have this on site, that we have this at libraries, that we have this in police cars, that we have this in sanitation trucks, that we have this in rec and parks facilities. It's better that we have this there than we don't have it there. It's better that people are trained on it, just like anyone who works for the city is usually going to be trained on CPR and first aid. 90% of us are never going to use it, even if we are trained on it, but it's better to have it there than to not have it there. So that's basically what this motion is about. Our community impact statement supports that that the city requires that city employees who will come in contact with persons who are unhoused are trained to use this nasal spray, as well as any person who works for a homeless services agency who happens to be funded by the city of Los Angeles. The Homeless Liaison Committee supported this motion. We came up with just a few little caveats recommendations. The training must be provided by a trained medical provider and renewed on a biannual basis. In addition to the Narcan training, staff will receive training in recognizing the symptoms of an overdose. Motion should include that staff acting in good faith cannot be held responsible if the Narcan fails to reverse the OD, because sometimes it won't. Sometimes you get to the person too late. Sometimes the person has too much in their system and it won't bring them back. The staff person following their training mistakenly uses Narcan on a person who is not ODing, say someone who's in a deep sleep or otherwise unresponsive. All current city staff who work with people experiencing homelessness be required to take the training. However, having been trained should not indicate a requirement that they administrate the Narcan in an emergency situation if an emergency situation seems apparent. In other words, you could be trained on it, but you're not required to actually be the person who uses it. Also in this motion, and I don't want anyone to think I'm trying to trick them. This motion also calls for a few other things like increased beds for people who are who have gone through detox or in a rehab facility, so more beds available so people could have a place to stay after they go to detox, because you won't believe how many times a person gets out of detox and right out there, right outside the detox door, there's a pusher trying to convince them to go back to using. It's really hard for somebody to stay sober when they're on the streets. Having them in a bed, having shelter facilities is really important for their recovery. That's also something in this motion, not our CIS, but the motion that CD's office put out. It also calls for needle exchange, getting clean needles out there. I know that's pretty controversial, and I wanted to bring that up because I don't want anyone to vote yes on this, but be completely opposed to the needle exchange part. I want you to know ahead of time what it is. Alrighty, now that I've rambled on completely, does anyone got questions?
Well,
Looks like,
Dory, Paul has his hand up, but I actually have a clarification.
go
If,
for it.
if you can see this on the screen now, the last bullet point says current city staff who work in non-emergency positions be allowed to not be required to take the training or be expected to administrate or minister. Next, Celine, but you said something different.
Yeah,
Yeah, so which is correct? You said that they do need to be required to take training, but not to use it or something
yes,
to that effect.
yes, sorry. Yes,
So what is correct? We can change it here.
I know. All current city staff who work with people experiencing homeless be required to take the training. However, having been trained should not indicate a requirement that they administrate the
Okay,
Narcan in an
Right.
emergency situation.
okay,
Right.
so we would want to change this to who work in homeless,
No,
no,
all current, excuse me, I'm just all over the place. I'm just so nervous. All current city staff who work with people experiencing homelessness, or PEH,
with people experiencing homelessness
be required to take the training. Period.
Okay, so eliminating the in non-emergency positions.
Right. This was a change made by Hugh, who's
This is
far
fine.
smarter than me.
I just want to make sure we do it right. And then what's the next sentence?
However, having been trained should not indicate a requirement that they administer and I'm going to spell out the proper name of the medication, NALOXONE.
Yeah, we got that.
If an emergency situation seems apparent.
And you guys, I'm going to acknowledge I'm changing it in the agenda, which was not necessarily the right way to do it, but this is my copy of the agenda, not the one that was distributed. So but this would be, I'm just going to highlight that this is a change.
Dorit, by the PEH, can you put /PSH as well? The permanent supportive housing? Or is that?
Well, that would be people who are just in housing.
Yeah, period.
So formerly homeless. So
okay.
And most
Okay,
city
so-
employees would not work in a permanent supportive housing.
Right. What we need at this point is for the people who have had their hands raised to be called on, and that was first Paul, if he still has a comment.
And then
And
Teresa.
then Teresa.
I do. So my first question is a clarification on the first bullet point. I heard you say the training would be renewed on a, I guess, a biannual basis. And
That's
so
right.
is it annual or is
Yeah.
it biannual?
Annual, sorry.
Okay. And then I guess in terms of the third bullet point, the change language, should it mirror, I guess, the language that we might see with people who take or undergo CPR training, where you have the training, but there's no requirement that you have to do the CPR if you find someone, right? I mean, I just want to make sure that we're not saying that you have to be required. It looks like this language is fine for that. So that was going to be my other comment.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that nobody felt, we wanted to make sure everyone got the training, but nobody felt they had to do something that was completely beyond their ability to do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Teresa.
Thank you. I just need some clarification, Dorit. We talked at the homelessness committee about librarians coming into contact with homelessness or homeless unhoused individuals. When you say here that all current city staff who work with people experiencing homelessness. Are we referring to librarians, and are we going to make it a mandatory requirement for librarians to have training on this?
Yes, because librarians will come in librarians, and I know that's what we use the most when we were speaking at the homelessness committee, but also people who work in rec and parks, sanitation, Department of Transportation, the people who run those dash buses, law enforcement, firemen. A lot of folks who work for the city of LA come in contact with people who are experiencing homelessness as part of their job.
But they're going to be it's going to be mandatory that they have this training.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? So seeing none,
I
the
have a question.
motion, I'm sorry.
Doreen, if that's the case, then don't you need to take out the language after who in the third bullet if you're going to require all of the current city staff to have the training?
Who work with people experiencing homelessness, yes.
I think what she's saying, Nancy, is that librarians work with people, even though librarians don't work with them. They may be, an unhoused person may fall asleep in the library. And
so maybe it's not work, but come in contact with.
Alrighty, I'm cool with that change. And this is not just what I'm coming up with the CIS, this is what the motion actually calls for. What we're saying in our CIS is that we believe that everyone should be trained, but not everyone should be forced to be, to use the medicine if they don't feel comfortable doing it.
So, yes, and so should it be work with and or come in contact with, or just come in contact?
I like Nancy's suggestion, come in contact with.
Okay. Okay. So are there any other, before we do a motion, because it's so much easier to edit before the motion, is there any other proposed edits?
Any other comments or questions or clarifications about the meds itself or anything? I'm more than happy to answer.
So I have two hand raised now. I have Grace and then Dennis and then Lizzie.
All right, Grace?
How long is this training?
It is about an hour.
Okay.
If you more questions makes it last a whole lot longer though.
Right. No, I was just wondering because I'm guessing we're going to have to probably put in at least half of our city staff. And an hour is not too bad.
Yeah, it's about when I took it, it's about an hour. I recall there being a whole lot of questions, but that was from people who already understood what the drug does, what the medicine does and the population. So I'm guessing with people who don't have any firsthand experience with seeing an OD or seeing the meds, the questions will probably bring it to an hour and a half. Does that answer your question, Grace? Dennis, were you next?
Yes, I think so. This is common in the third bullet point, just to prevent a misunderstanding. It says current city staff. I think I should just say city staff because you don't want to just go through once and train everybody and then not train new people.
Good idea. Thank you so much for pointing that out.
Yeah.
Is that any other questions, Dennis?
No.
Cool. Lizzie, my favorite person.
Hi, Dory. Yeah, I just had a personal comment. My mother was administered Narcan once, but this was in the context of a hospital environment. She got double the dosage of her pain medication, and she got she became non-responsive. And if I had not screamed at the doctor who kept asking her questions and had the charge nurse come to the room and administer Narcan, I don't know what would have happened. And I also imagine the last time I was given some pain medication along with a nasal spray. So I guess it shouldn't be that difficult. And I hope there's also many documentaries out there that support the use of Narcan, broadly, just because it can save so many lives. So I I just wanted to say that I wholeheartedly support this.
Your story was very moving, Lizzie. Thank you. Raheem.
I'm just curious if the drug is already like widely available in places like, well, I guess it wouldn't be available now, but is there also like a plan to make this available in more places like, libraries and Parks and Recs offices to go along with the training?
Yes, that's what the motion calls for. The motion that's going to be in front of the city council says people will be trained and it will be like widely available at all city departments. It currently, if you want to get this, you could go to Save-Ons. It's, they give it out free because it's so important that we make sure people don't die of ODs.
Mhm.
So it's out there. Regrettably, a lot of people get this stuff and are not trained on it. So they don't know when to use it, how to use it, what to do after. Like a lot of people think, oh, we'll just use it and you're done with it. Well, you still have to get the person to a hospital. You can't just stop right then and there. So the training, and yes, there will be lots of it then. There will be at the rec and parks, in the police cars, in the sanitation trucks, everywhere.
Got it. Very cool. Thank you.
John, thank you, Raheem. John?
Hey, are there risks of having too much of it or misusing it? Or what are the risks of someone having a mishap?
I asked Hugh about this. If you guys remember Hugh, he's a former board member who's co-chair of the homeless committee, and he's also a registered nurse. There's no, if you use this on someone who isn't ODing, it's going to hurt. It's not going to be pleasant. They're going to be really pissed off at you. Like someone who's maybe in a deep sleep, but there is no risk to their health otherwise. So it can't harm somebody. So I hope that answers your question, sir.
It does, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
And then this is Tori. I did want to say that is one of the things that we had spoken about, because we had situations where they do have deep sleep once they get a room and they're, like in the project room keys or things like that. Then don't prematurely use it. You have to know when to use it. And that's one of the things that we addressed in this particular file.
It's part of it. Thank you for reminding me of that, Tori. As I say, I'm very nervous right now.
You're okay. You're
Definitely
okay.
the being trained. That's what part of the training is. So people know when to identify someone as ODing. The training says to you, okay, you just don't come up with somebody with this nasal spray and stick it up their nose and pull the plunger. You say to them, you call their name, you yell at them, you yell, are you okay? What are you on? And then you tell them, I'm going to be using Narcan on you. You don't use it without telling the person first. This way you're giving them every chance to wake up and every chance to come to. So that's part of the training. The training, like I said, is like an hour, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but that is definitely something we have to do before we even start to use the drug on them.
Okay. Greg, you had your hand up and then you took it down.
No, it's still up. Madam President, I'll be ready to entertain a motion on this item.
Yeah, well, as long as we have people who are not commenting, yes, we are ready to entertain a motion. And Dorit, do you want to make the motion, or is it Greg who wants to make the motion?
The homelessness committee is making the motion, so it's either
Oh,
Tori or
true.
myself.
It's Dorit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does
go
anyone-
ahead. Yeah, you're presenting, so go ahead.
Well,
Okay,
it's
I
also
make the-
Dorit's on the board, and only a board member may make a motion.
Right, well, I'm making the motion. Does anyone wish to second it?
I'll second it.
Thank you,
Tori,
Mr.
can
Gregg.
you say that it's as amended? As amended.
Sorry, as amended and my spelling error is corrected. Thank you. Thanks for saying that,
Okay.
Teresa.
So I do see 3 people raising their hand. We will be, if you're raising your hand to vote, we'll be having to do this on a roll call. If you have a question or comment, I will call on you. So it's been moved and seconded to adopt this community impact statement as amended. Taylor.
Yeah, so normally I wouldn't comment, but I think we have to discuss this topic for another 15 minutes maybe, since the other thing
Well.
doesn't start until 8:30. I just want to say thanks, Dorit and team, for putting this together. I think this is a great motion. You guys hear me talk about like traffic safety all the time and how many people die in traffic accidents. Traffic's still the most common way for children to die. And for many, many years, it was the most common way for adults to die early. But in the last few years, opiate overdoses have overtaken traffic deaths. So it's just an insane, you guys already know this, but an insane number of people that die. And it's so cool that there's a drug that can prevent people from dying. And I can't believe that we don't use this drug more. I can't believe how controversial this is in some places. It doesn't seem that controversial here, fortunately, which makes me really, really happy. And I'll be very stoked to vote yes on this, and sounds like a lot of other people will be too.
Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate that. Anybody else got any other questions or comment?
Okay, so since I can't see the Zoom room, is Gibson still with us?
No.
Okay, so my opinion is that we can move ahead on this because I'm guessing the next item will take longer anyway.
Right there. My apologies. Hi, Gibson.
Gibson is there.
Sharing, please. Can you stop sharing?
Sure.
Yeah, Gibson might be left the room for. Oh no, there he is.
I'm here. I haven't left.
Happy face.
Okay, so Gibson, again, we have an agenda error on the timing. Our next item after this might take more than 15 minutes. Are we able to go ahead and vote on this one and then catch up on the time on our next item? Or
We are on the 8. Are we still talking about
we're on number 10B, the community impact statement. I mean, we can vote on it, I know, but it's only 8:17 and the next one's showing us starting at 8:30 because I made a mistake. And everyone who ever looked at I know I'm not perfect. And everyone who looked at the agenda in advance didn't notice it. And so the time, I skipped 30 minutes somewhere along the way.
Let him answer, Laura. Move on.
I'm not disputing if it was an issue. I still think per the way AB 361 says, because the agenda says we have to stay until 8:30, we're gonna have to burn those 10 minutes.
We can take a break.
Let's take the vote.
No,
and then everyone can take a pee break.
We can't take a break. We have to stay on until 8:30, making sure that on the assumption that another stakeholder wants to jump in between those 10 minutes to jump in and do public comment. So if that stakeholder comes in when you're taking a break, the board's not continuing action and you're not providing the public comment for the Brown Act. Do it in this new amended part of the Brown Act. That's why we always recommend to remove the time slots, because this is the hiccup.
Yeah. All right. Teresa has her hand up.
Yes, I have my hand up. Well,
As
first of
do
all,
two other people.
Let me just say, Gibson, this is the first time this has ever happened. We always run late. And so I'm going to take most of the responsibility, even though I know Laura said she did the agenda and did something with the half an hour. I should have checked it because I saw the agenda beforehand. But I was the one who advocated that we keep the times because we always run late and we needed a mechanism to curtail discussion and move on to the next thing. So I'm going to apologize now to everybody if we have to sit here for 15 minutes and wait. But this is the first time this has ever happened because we are notoriously known for running overtime. And I just so everybody knows, since we have some time here, I uploaded all our meeting minutes, or the ones from 2020, the Zoom meetings, the ones that were available. And we had a meeting that was 5 hours long, over 5 hours. How in the world did that ever happen? I don't know. Anyway, that's why it's been necessary for us to keep the time so we could have Nancy keep us in track.
And I think I'm not one, I don't want to chastise anybody, and I didn't want, Ms. Teresa, please don't feel the need to apologize. I think because it's an effort of just trying to keep the board flowing. It's just that we run into, as the law is being flushed out, especially as it's evident that we're going to stay virtual, and as public meetings stay virtual, I think the law is going to be consistent. It's going to still be changing, and they're going to need some changes in this new legislative session, because the legislature just went back yesterday, right? Not wrong, it was either yesterday or Tuesday. But I think it's just one of those things where we run into what the dynamics of the law state right now, and it's okay that we'll just simmer in it. I just want to say everybody looks amazing in the camera today. To just keep smiling, keep being the gracious community members that you are. And I want to thank y'all for everything you guys are doing. And it's just that I want to make sure that we don't get into trouble. And I'm just here to be a team player. And I know this is what happens when it comes to being law-abiding citizens, right? Sometimes you got to be like, the law is not adapting to the needs of stakeholders in it. And so we just have to. We have 9 minutes, so we are burning.
We can
it.
vote.
Anybody-
Yeah,
We
let's
can go ahead and
vote,
vote,
please.
right?
Unless
wait,
Paul
hold
has a question.
I have hands up. So Paul has his hand up, and then Nancy did, but it's down, and Dennis is back up. So let's go to Paul.
I would like to argue that there should be some reason in our rule in the rules, some way in the rules that we can, make a motion to amend the agenda, because, the interpretation that we're not giving our citizens, time to talk about this issue doesn't make sense. We allotted 15 minutes or whatever it is per the agenda. So effectively we have 15 or 30 minutes where nothing is scheduled. So it doesn't make sense that someone is being denied the right to speak on this topic. So why can't we just make a motion to, amend the agenda and just move up the schedule?
Right. I want to jump in. It's because AB 361 basically says that a person who's a member of the public is allowed to have the assumption that they have, in this case, literally until 8:29 to arrive and raise their hand to speak for 1 minute at 8:30, even though we would then still have to vote. So, so it's literal language in the new Brown Act, amended Brown Act. So, and
Can we vote on this right now, please?
Well, that's the problem. We cannot, because public comment has to remain open a little while longer, not all the way to 8:30, because it takes us a few minutes to do the vote.
So until 8:25, we can start voting?
Correct. So we have 3 more minutes of chit chat. If anyone else wants to talk about the issue or the motion, John.
I agree with what Paul said.
I know.
I'm not feeling gracious at the moment, sorry.
Does anyone want me to answer more questions about the plight of drug abuse? I mean, I can do that.
How many people on this call would feel comfortable enough to even administer something like this?
Yeah.
That's a question.
I have my hand up, Dorit, since we're going to talk for 6 more minutes. I actually feel uncomfortable supporting this because of the mandate. If I'm a government employee, I work in the library and the child section, the young adult section, and now I'm being required and mandated to take this training. I don't know, I feel uncomfortable with that. So, I don't know if we can talk about how we're going to vote. Taylor put out his opinion. I don't think I can support it because I don't feel like they should be mandated.
That's completely, and I really want everyone to completely understand what we're talking about. So I'm glad that I'm glad it got through and you understood that. And you're going to have to totally vote your conscience and your feelings.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dorit.
So Taylor has his hand up, and Sarah, who we haven't heard from yet, has her hand up. So Taylor.
Just in the interest of wasting time a little bit, I thought I'd comment that I noticed we did most of our discussion before the motion.
Right.
And just as a matter of Robert's rules, I think we're supposed to have most of our discussion after the motion.
That's correct.
Not that I'm a stickler on Robert's rules, but I figured I'd mention that.
Right.
That's a good reminder, Taylor.
Sarah.
I just had a thought. I wondered, I know that this amendment has to do with city employees. Is there anything in the current culture around administering Narcan for citizens who want to learn how to do it, just like with CPR? Like, is that something that people who want to learn how to do it can do, or is this just having to do with the city employees?
Because this motion is from the city council, it can only, the city council can only mandate what either this, for city employees or for funded programs of the city funds, homeless services programs of the city funds. But if you want to take the training, I will definitely hook you up with the trainer. And citizens can take the training, citizens can get the Naricon. So if you wanted to have some in your car just in case, you're welcome. That is something that would be completely great and something you can get trained on.
Okay. Charlie.
Who she call?
Charlie.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tori. I'll call you after Charlie. I'm sorry, I called Charlie.
I'll be quick. Teresa, I just wanted to address what you had brought up because I actually had to get trained on this for my job. As I'm a social worker with the Public Defender's Office, and all of us had to get trained, but it had the same caveat where you weren't forced to do it if you're not comfortable. And I actually don't think anybody felt put out about having to do the training. Even if somebody didn't feel comfortable administering the Narcan, I don't think anybody felt, that I know that's a small sample set, but just wanted to give you that example.
And your training was an hour long?
Yes.
Thank you, Charlie.
Okay, and Tori, and then this is the last comment because we are ready to vote unless somebody.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I just wanted to commend Sarah for bringing that up because we definitely need it. And I was gonna ask Teresa, you're opposed to getting the additional knowledge to know how to do it, even though a lot of homeless are around libraries? It's not, like
No,
Charlie
no,
said,
I'm not opposed to that,
it's not
Tori.
making you have to do it, but it's just giving you additional knowledge.
I'm taking the stance, if I were a librarian that works in the young adult section at the library, or I work in the children's section, and I'm helping children study and learn how to read, I don't want to be mandated to have to deal with a drug overdose and possibly give them a drug. I think there may be, if I were a librarian, I might not want that responsibility. And the fact that I have to be mandated to do it, it's a requirement of my job, when my job is to help children learn how to read. I don't know. I don't know if they're required to learn CPR.
The mandate is only for the training, not for the administrator.
I understand. I was at the meeting, Tori, I remember.
I know. Well, I'm just checking.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just, that's just how I feel. I don't feel that they should have to take it.
Okay, and everyone has a right to whatever their opinion is on this matter. So we are able to do our roll call BAC now because we're at 8:28, and it will take 2 minutes to do that.
Did you read the motion again, Laura?
I can. The motion is to adopt the community impact statement related to Council File number 21-1415 regarding a council motion that directs the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority to take actions regarding, I can't pronounce this, naloxone training for city staff and contracted providers. We are proposing to support the motion if amended, and our proposed community impact statement itself reads: the United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council supports staff at homeless services agencies and city departments, library, rec and parks, sanitation, LAPD, LAFD, public works, workforce development, and among others, who work with or come in contact with PEH to be trained to administer naloxone, and that naloxone be made widely available. We suggest the following amendments and additions. The training must be provided by a trained medical provider and renewed on an annual basis. In addition to naloxone training, staff will receive training in recognizing the symptoms of an overdose, OD. Staff acting in good faith cannot be held responsible if the naloxone fails to reverse the OD, the staff person following their training mistakenly uses naloxone on a person who is not ODing, someone in a deep sleep or otherwise non-responsive. City staff who come in contact with people experiencing homelessness, PEH, be required to take the training. However, having been trained should not indicate a requirement that they administer naloxone if an emergency situation seems apparent.
Okay, I'll take the roll now. Jasmine?
Yes.
Jasmine's yes. Dorit?
Yes.
Dorit's yes. Dolores is absent. Raheem?
That me?
Yes, Raheem?
Yes, sorry.
Sorry, let me just turn my volume. Taylor?
Yes.
Taylor's yes. Charlie?
Yes.
Charlie's yes. Paul?
Yes.
Paul's yes. Carlos?
Yes.
Carlos yes. Laura?
Yes.
Laura's yes. Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Sarah's yes. Grace?
Yes.
Grace is yes. Dennis?
Yes.
Dennis is yes. Karine?
Yes.
Karine is yes. Teresa's a no. Greg?
Yes.
Greg is a yes. Nancy?
Yes.
Nancy's yes. Sarah Lacey?
Yes.
Sarah's a yes. Lizzie?
Yes.
Lizzie's a yes. John?
Boy, no.
John is a no. Okay, the motion passes.
Okay, so what is your count on this, please?
16 yes, 2 no.
Thank you, everybody. Laura, how many people can submit a CIS who's submitted to the city? Are you the only person who can do it at this moment?
Me and Janie, and is Janie still allowed to would be the question.
She's not even here.
Again, another question, I mean, very quickly for Gibson, the other person, the CIS chair who moved away and is not on the board, is she still not on the board, authorized to submit through the portal? Or are we back down to only me?
It's back down to you because they're no longer on the board, right?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so
we gotta
for
take
the
action.
February board meeting, we'll make an agenda item to add new submitters for community impact statements.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, and thank you, really, Dorit, thank you. Thank everybody who contributed to this community impact statement. Okay, the next item is 11, Communications Committee. And the first item 11A is the UNNC business cards. It's actually the funding request. Now that the newly designed business cards seem to be about available, there was interest in printing more than the limit, potentially printing more than the limited number that we had originally thought would be printed. So there's a request to potentially increase the already approved printing budget of $500 up to a new total of 1,000. And Raheem, do you need to screen share, I think?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay, hang on, because I need to find you in the queue. There you are. Okay.
Oops. All righty. All right, let me know. Excuse me, let me know when you guys can see that.
Yep.
All right, so so I think we currently have budgeted $500 for business cards. Looks like we'll need to increase that a little bit, less than 1,000. This is so what I'm going to be presenting tonight is all kind of bundled in this one PDF. So I'm just going to jump to just the business card stuff for now. So excuse my quick scrolling. All right, so the business cards, right? So here is, well, let me back up a little bit. When we talked about business cards a few months ago, we talked about wanting to be able to present different options. We understand that different board members want to use business cards differently. Some of us really like a traditional business card, traditional paper business card that you can hand out. We also realize that some other board members might want something that's a little less traditional. So what you see here is the traditional approach. This is what we would offer up to print. Our new logo is there on the back, our new word mark, and then on the front is kind of the standard run of information. We would look to print 100 pieces for each board member. If there are board members that think that they might need way more than that, we can up that amount. But I think standard, we're looking at about 100. That's pretty straightforward. Now, the more, I don't know if you want to say futuristic options for a business card, actually come in at about the same price point as 100 printed business cards. So the 100 printed business cards cost about $21. There are these, there's this company called Dot, right? And so they offer up both like a little circular thing here that you can put on the back of your cell phone or anything that you carry around normally, or you can get like a physical card here, a plastic card that they both contain your information digitally. So on this website, I would go in and create everybody would have an individual profile that would contain, your name, your email address, phone number, any ways to get in touch with you. And all you have to do is tap this, either this card or tap this device on somebody else's phone, and all that information gets transferred as a contact to somebody else's phone. Each cost $25 per item. The cool, possibly a cool benefit of this approach also is that these cards are reusable. So like each card is tied to a profile that can be updated. So if a board member does go with this option, ends up leaving the board, we can get that plastic card back and recycle it to another board member. So this could cut down on business card costs going forward if we're able to recycle these. Obviously, that's not a guarantee. Some board members might take off with these cards and never give them back. But again, so it's $21 to print the standard run of 100 business cards, $25 for this Dot, and we would survey the board and find out who wants what and make it happen for everybody. So that's the business cards.
Okay, so this is a funding request. And so basically, we already have approved $500, and the funding request is for $1,000. Teresa has her hand up to $1,000. The core math, and this is without sales tax, the core math would be 23 people times $25, and just rounding it up. $575 plus tax. But also some people may wish more than 100 cards. So
right, and so even for let's see, for 250 cards is $30.
Yeah. So.
And I will say that these are priced out with an online company called Got Print. They are located here in LA. I did get, and if we do get approved, I will go back to Print Depot to kind of see how close they can get to these numbers. I definitely would prefer to use a local vendor, even if they end up being like a couple bucks more than this online vendor out in the Valley.
Okay, so Nancy is reminding us that before I call on people.
I'd like to make the motion to extend this discussion 5 more minutes.
Right, we need first, Teresa, we need a motion as well. Well, Nancy, you tell me, do we need a motion to extend the discussion or a motion to approve this item?
No, I asked to extend. I think she's asking to extend. Nancy?
All right, let's do a motion to extend. Teresa moves. I will second to extend this discussion. We can, Dennis, you need to put your hand down unless you're already voting yes, because we're going to do this not as a BAC. Everyone in favor of extending the time, please raise your hand. Oh, and Nancy just told us it should have been the other way around. Sorry.
Can Nancy not talk?
I don't know.
Okay. we can't make a
Okay.
decision because I have a question.
Okay, let's just do this. I think we know we're going to be able to extend the time. Is there a motion to increase the already approved budget of $500 up to a new total of $1,000?
Yes, I move to increase the previously budgeted amount to $1,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there a motion to extend the time of this discussion?
Well, we haven't even discussed it yet, have we? There's
Well-
nothing to extend yet.
Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me? My audio is not working.
Yeah, now we can hear you, Nancy.
Okay.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you before.
So now we can discuss. So now Teresa can go ahead and ask her question.
Okay, so everybody who has their hand up, I hope are people who have questions. Teresa first.
Yes, thank you. Raheem, first, I want to make sure that the reason why you're not coming to executive committee to ask for this is because we've already allocated $500. You're just asking for an increase, and so it's unnecessary for you to go back to executive to increase this. That's one question. And then the second question is about the QR codes, because that was something I thought was really cool when you presented the business cards previously.
Yeah, I mean, I think you answered your first question yourself. The QR code. So we kind of huddled up and thought about the QR code application, and it's the same functionality, I guess, as this dot thing, where you instead of somebody having to take a picture of something or putting their phone up to a QR code, like they put their phone up to either the little circle dot or your card, and the information is transferred that way. So that's why we went this way instead of a QR code printed on a business card.
Okay, I just want to say that I thought the QR code was a great bridge for people like me and Dolores who wanted a traditional business card, but it also bridged us into being a little more tech savvy. But if these are the options, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think the other thing was it was just a little bit clunkier in that I would have had to build the VCF files that would get transferred with the QR code. And so it's not impossible. It was just this company does that for you, where they manage that information and kind of put it all in this tappable technology.
I have Paul's hand, Greg's hand. Wait a minute. Paul first, then Greg.
So my question is that I don't see a justification or a rationale why we need an additional $500. I mean, if I saw numbers that would kind of tell me that's why we needed an additional 500, because if I just do back of the envelope, $22 for 100 cards, if I understood correctly, maybe there's 15 UNNC members that might want 100 cards. That's less than $500. It's like 330 or 350. So why do we need an additional 500? Wouldn't we just make that request next year?
Yeah, so I think the 1,000 came from just a conversation that Laura and I had a week ago. We knew that we needed more than 500, or we would likely need more than 500, and 1,000 was kind of the next number we went up to. I mean, the way you just kind of worked out your back of the envelope math is the reason why we don't have a hard number. 23 board members might say, I want traditional business cards and I want 250 of them. So, I mean, it's just I don't know what the numbers are going to break down to. I don't know who's going to want what at what price point or what amount. And so $1,000 is plenty of cushion. We can definitely bring that down to $700. And I think that'd be more than enough.
So, so basically we need to cushion because we're not exactly sure what the final count will be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but to your point, we don't need cushion up to $1,000. And if that makes anybody uncomfortable, I'm happy to bring it down to 700. 650 might be a little bit tight, but I think we can still do it.
Right. Greg's hand is up.
Right, and to all of us, do we want to include the city logo on the cards? And the reason for including the city logo on the cards is to let all the world know that we are official an official entity of the city.
Right.
And there's a process if we want to do that. Oh, well.
You're asking if there's a process, or you're telling me?
No, I know there's a process. I discovered there's a process. But the first question is, do we want to include the city logo on our official business cards, showing that we are officially part of the city?
Okay, before answering that, someone needs to move to extend this discussion again.
Well, I think someone can answer and then we can move, because maybe there won't be any more discussion after the Greg's question is answered.
Okay.
I think like it's up for discussion, and different board members can weigh in. I think when we were looking at the design of the card, especially in comparing to our old business card, we tried to really make this a really clean offering, something that was just like very clean and crisp. There's not a requirement to have the city logo on these business cards. I talked to Gibson about that ahead of time. Thankfully, our name is very descriptive as to what we are as a neighborhood council. So I don't know. I mean, if board members think that the city logo gives us that much more oomph or authority, then again, that's for you guys to say or decide. But our little creative team, that's definitely something that we talked about, and it was something that we made a decision to leave off.
Okay, so the funding request is sort of disengaged from whether or not there's a logo on the cards. I would say, Laura, I'm speaking, that Greg is correct for many situations where we're saying, I'm with a neighborhood council, it's a city government entity. So having a city logo, however small it may be, might be worthwhile considering on the name side of the card. I don't think it has to be on the pretty logo side of the card. But the fund, that's a discussion that can continue. The funding is what the motion is.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, it's still up to 1,000. And Nancy's got her hand up.
Yes, so I moved to amend the funding request to $700.
Is there a second?
I second, Lizzie.
Okay. Nancy, since we don't usually do it so formally, do we now vote on the amendment?
So technically we have to vote on the amendment and then we have to.
Okay, but do we have to vote on the
motion.
amendment before Lizzie, who just raised her hand, asks her question?
That I'm not sure actually.
Okay, why don't we just let Lizzie talk and then we vote on the amendment and then we vote on the motion if we can.
Just a very quick clarification request. So the funding, this is independent of, we are not approving the format of the business cards yet, right?
This item would not approve the format of the business cards.
Okay. Okay, just want to make sure on that, because.
But the next item, which is the branding rollout, we can roll in the approval of the format.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this item is narrow, increase the budget we already allocated.
All right, thanks.
So Taylor, is your comment to the amendment or to the?
It's to the amendment.
Thank you.
I just have a question, which is, hopefully Raheem can answer this. Is 700 sufficient?
I think so. I mean,
okay.
My gut says yeah, but my gut's been wrong before, so hope so.
Okay. Lizzie and Greg both have their hands still up. Does that mean you have further comments?
Okay, we're at 8:50, so I think
Right.
we have to extend if we want to continue talking about it or vote.
I'd like to vote. Is there any other comments?
Does anyone want to make a motion to extend discussion?
I call the question.
Okay,
Okay,
so then we'll go ahead and vote on the amendment.
Okay, so this is an amendment to 11A to amend the motion from 1,000 to reduce it to $700.
Right.
Jasmine? Jasmine? Dorit?
No.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jasmine, what is your vote?
Sorry, yes.
Jasmine is a yes. Dorit?
No.
Dorit's no. Raheem?
Yes.
Raheem is a yes. Taylor?
Yes.
Taylor's yes. Charlie?
Yes.
Charlie's yes. Paul?
Yes.
Paul's yes. Carlos? Laura?
Yes.
Laura's yes. Oh, goodness. Sarah?
Yes.
Grace? Grace?
Yes.
Grace is a yes. Dennis?
No.
Dennis is a no. Corrine?
Yes.
Teresa's a yes. Greg?
Yes.
Greg is a yes. Nancy?
Yes.
Nancy's a yes. Sarah Lacy? Sarah? Lizzie?
Yes.
Lizzie's a yes. John?
Yes.
John's a yes. Okay, the motion passes. The amended 11A passes. Are we ready to take the, go
Yeah,
ahead?
that's the next question. Do we now vote on the underlying motion as amended?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so this is 11A, the funding of the business cards for $700. Correct, Laura?
Increase the fund,
Increasing the funding.
yeah, from 500 to 700.
Okay, we're ready for the vote? Everybody? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Jasmine?
Yes.
Jasmine's a yes. Dorit?
Yep.
Yes. Raheem?
Yeah.
Raheem's yes. Taylor?
Yep.
Taylor's yes. Charlie?
Yes.
Charlie's yes. Paul?
Yes.
Paul's yes. Did Carlos return? Laura?
Yes.
Laura's yes. Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Sarah's yes. Grace?
Yes.
Grace is yes. Dennis?
Yes.
Dennis is a yes. Corrine?
Yes.
Corrine is, Teresa's a yes. Also, Greg?
Yes.
Greg is a yes. Nancy?
Yes.
Nancy. Sarah Lacy? Lizzie?
Yes.
Lizzie's a yes. John? John?
Hey, sorry, yes.
Okay, John's a yes. Okay, that motion passes.
Okay. So we were so good. Now we're so bad. Raheem, 11B branding rollout, you're still a co-host. And it's along with a funding request, Raheem's going to show us the branding rollout. So I think you start with that, right?
Yep.
I'm
right,
gonna put
guys.
5 minutes, Raheem.
I'm sorry?
I'm gonna put 5 minutes on the clock. Are you
Okay.
gonna need more than that?
Yeah, it'll probably be a little bit more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, if you guys knock the 1,000 down to 600 or 700, I can't wait to see what happens here. Be some real sticker shock. All right, so this is basically a branding rollout document. So with our new logo and everything that we got approved, you know, we have a plan. We're coming up with a plan to roll that out. How are we going to show this out to the public and internally and everything? So I'll try to breeze through these slides as quickly as I can, and then we'll go through some questions. So the theme of our rollout is called the United Neighborhoods of You. And I think you guys all have this document, so you can kind of read through the details, but we really wanted to put our stakeholders at the center of this campaign. We wanted our stakeholders to be able to see themselves in the work that we do. And so we're encouraging that by calling it the United Neighborhoods of You. I think this title does a lot for us. I think that you know, our name is our name, right? But I think that we've had conversations about how our name is a little bit weird, right? The United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council. People trip over it all the time. And so, but I think that this campaign seeks to kind of like really make the United Neighborhoods part of our name really a thing. Because I think when you say the phrase United Neighborhoods, it really instills a sense of pride and of kind of being a part of something bigger than yourself that we really want to embrace. The other part of this campaign, so the United Neighborhoods of You, the U in that is intended in some instances to be an interchangeable thing. So, for example, you know, if we have window stickers at a business, you know, we'd have our logo, and then there'd be the phrase United Neighborhoods of, and that business could write in whatever they wanted there. So if it's a pizza shop, they could say the United Neighborhoods of Pizza. If we use this on a lawn sign, it could say the United Neighborhoods of the Masonette family. So I mean, these like it would always be there with our logo, with our word mark, but it would give our neighbors and our stakeholders and our businesses an opportunity to kind of present what they themselves are bringing to our neighborhoods. So really think it's a way to kind of embrace people, the people that are all across our neighborhoods. And so these are, I'll really breeze through these. These are like the internal ways that we'll kind of, we'll see our logo on different documents that we have. We already ran through the business cards. I'm sure there'll be some discussion about this later on. The dot applications, you know, the logo would be prominently featured on both of those. The agenda, we will work with Laura and the executive committee on a redesign of the agenda that will see the logo and word mark up in the left-hand corner, along with the long form, that's what that text is there, the long form of our name along with it. Whoops. The e-blast is something else that we're taking a look at. We want to create a template that really puts our photos kind of front and center. You know, there's a lot of good information in the e-blast that Laura puts together and sends out. We want to help make them a little bit more vibrant. So we really want to do that through photos and with colors. And you see here on the right-hand side, we're not fully sold on this look yet, but we're playing with ideas of how to make our logo a design element so that the UNNC kind of, you know, turn on their sides in different iterations as a design element, just so that it's something that we see in more places and people become more familiar with. So again, that's something that we'll work with Laura and the executive committee on getting templatized and improved. Our board member applications, same thing. You know, we're going to rework those to kind of have the logo and word mark in the left-hand corner. So that's all the internal documents. Now, the really fun stuff is here on the external, because the big question is how we're going to go out to the public. In our ideal sense of this, people are going to wake up, you know, one day in February, and they're going to see our new logo in lots of different places in a lot of different ways. And these are some of the ways that we are thinking about. We've talked to Lizzie a little bit about a postcard. We had the communications committee back in 2019 had an initiative that we actually got funding for, but never saw through to completion, for a mailer to go out to stakeholders all around our neighborhoods. And this is kind of a continuation of that. So again, the backside is really designed to just kind of be a visually engaging something. And again, it's the letters of our logo kind of in lots of different iterations and with different colors. And then the front side is information. Again, we're working with Lizzie, and we'll continue to work with her to figure out what this messaging exactly should be. The thinking is that it'll be something that drives people to our website. You know, we know a really important part of our outreach comes from our email list. So we really want to grow our email list. I think in the 4.5 years that I've been on the board, I've talked about this before, but our email list, the number of people who registered for our emails is pretty much stayed pretty constant. So we really want to figure out a way to kind of goose that number. And so we think driving people to our website and encouraging them to get involved by signing up for emails is definitely one way. So the messaging on here isn't by any means finalized, but there will be some sort of messaging that invites people to kind of to take part in the work that we do. And so we'll continue to tweak that. The lawn sign is another thing that, you know, it's a really easy way for us to kind of get free advertisements on people's front lawns. The thinking here is that we'll probably have two different executions of a lawn sign. The first one is is kind of what I touched on a little bit earlier, where, you know, our logo's in the top left corner, and we're running with this idea of the United Neighborhoods of blank, so that people, neighbors could write in whatever unique attribute they or their family bring to the neighborhood, or their family name. So the United Neighborhood of, you know, your family name, United Neighborhood of dog lovers, United Neighborhoods of whatever it is that like kind of makes you a unique individual or group of people in your neighborhood. The other execution we're thinking about is something more neighborhood specific. We know that there's a lot of pride in the individual neighborhoods within our footprints. So maybe we'll do lawn signs that call out the our individual regions. So this one's, you know, West Adams Avenues. We could have, you know, ones for Arlington Heights and Jefferson Park, just kind of allow people to kind of take pride in those individual regions. We'll also obviously calling out our neighborhood council and the URL for the website there. Social media will obviously be a really big part of our campaign. One thing that we kind of keep coming back to is this, you know, the social media ideas are kind of, I won't say the low hanging fruit, but it's the easy stuff to do because it's very cheap to kind of execute. You put a few bucks behind something on Facebook and it gets seen by, you know, thousands of people. But we also want to be physically in places. But we can't deny the importance of social media. So, you know, I'll run through a couple of the ideas that we've been talking about. I think one easy thing that we want to do on Instagram and Facebook, we want to start either every Sunday or Monday, kind of posting a really great photo from the neighborhood along with information about that week's upcoming meetings, just so that we get in the rhythm of kind of telling people what meetings are coming up, and in the hopes that more people will start showing up to our meetings. We want to get out there and start getting, you know, like testimonials from our stakeholders, just stories from neighbors, just like really casual content from the people that live and work in our neighborhoods. We've talked a little bit about something around like celebrating our neighborhoods. So maybe having like a neighborhood week where we post content that week that highlights, you know, a specific neighborhood within our footprint. And then another a really cool idea that I think we have is about us as board members. The reality is that board members are the lifeblood of our organization, right? It's us. And so what can we do to kind of put ourselves up in center screen? So like even things as simple as like birthday posts for board members. If a board member has a birthday, acknowledge that, just so that people recognize that we're an organization, but we're also people in this organization that are making this organization kind of move. So those are just a handful of the ideas that we have and that we'll be executing throughout the rollout on social media. The business sticker isn't fully fleshed out. This is something that we're hoping, you know, when we get an economic development chairperson, we would tweak the messaging on these business stickers. You know, I think ideally with the economic development team, you know, maybe they'll come up with some sort of like campaign around our small businesses. Yeah, I know that, like, you know, nationally there's like a small business Saturday, I think in November. But if there was like a small business focus some other time throughout the year that we could have in our area, you know, we could tweak this messaging here to kind of be whatever the messaging would be for that initiative. But this is just an example of something that we could execute for that. But again, I think we'd probably wait on this execution until there was some sort of effort on behalf of the Economic Development Committee to do something, so just so the messaging could kind of be aligned there. This idea, we'll see how this floats with you guys, but one of the things we talked about in our initial brand presentation was the importance of being good listeners. And I think that's it's important function of a neighborhood council is kind of be a listener to our stakeholders. And so we have this idea for these things we're calling community cubes. And our hope is that we can get funding to just do a pilot one of these. And basically, the design of these is, the look of these is not at all what we're thinking. It's just really kind of the shape of this thing. So we're thinking what we want to have are these cubes, these like big cubes that would be painted in sidewalk chalk, branded with our logo. And we would on social media encourage stakeholders to kind of go out to these cubes, and there'd be some sort of prompt. And maybe the prompt is something like, what's something you want to see more of in your neighborhood? And people could use chalk to kind of write on these cubes, like things that they want to see more of in the neighborhood. We can come with different prompts over time that, again, encourage people to go out to these cubes and write something or draw something. It's just really a way for our stakeholders to kind of like sound off and tell us things that we want to hear. I think we can get a lot of really great social media content out of this. And it's a really, again, I think it's a really great way to kind of lean into this idea of being good listeners, and provides us a way to do this. So if we do get funding for this, we would pilot this and just create one. The idea would be to have it like in a park, so either Benny Potter Park or Leslie Shaw Park, and kind of see how it goes. It might be a terrible idea, I don't know, but I think it might be worth a shot. It's kind of a low cost idea to try out, and I think it would definitely show our stakeholders that we're interested in hearing from them in lots of different ways, and this would just be one of them. One thing that we also talked about in our initial branding presentation, I believe, was sidewalk chalk. It's a very sidewalk chalk is a very low tech way to kind of to communicate with people. So the idea here is that we're going to get stencils created that we can use to paint our logo, but also along with the QR code. So these will be on streets and all throughout the footprint. The logo and the QR code, people can snap the QR code and it'll take them to our website. Really easy, fun way to kind of get our new logo out there in front of people. Hopefully people curious enough to kind of snap the QR code and engage with us that way.
Where are we on time on this? Nancy?
No, I think
We're
he's finished the presentation.
Yeah. So I'll do, I guess does someone want to make a motion
I'd like to make a motion to extend this conversation for 10 more minutes?
Well, technically, Teresa, I think we need to make a motion to vote on the item, and then we'll discuss, and then if we need to extend it more.
Yeah, Nancy, the problem is I'm not sure if we're ready to make a funding motion based on only a branding presentation. So I don't know the Roberts rule, but I think Teresa's motion in this case makes more sense, because I don't think we're prepared yet to do an actual funding motion.
Because the thing is, technically, there's nothing to discuss because there's nothing on the table.
Got it. Well, if I were making a motion, which I don't think the chair should, I think my motion would be something along the lines of setting aside in our budget some money, but referring for more discussion to outreach committee for some of the specific budget items that relate to outreach, and then to executive committee to discuss the money. But I don't think I should be making a motion as chair.
I'll make the motion. This is Grace.
Okay, and
what is the motion?
Well, what I had just said is to sort of mark and set aside in the budget the $6,000 but not to fund it tonight, and refer this both to outreach committee and then to executive. Outreach meets next Tuesday. But I think Grace made that motion more or less, and we would need a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
I second it.
Third it. So it's motions made by Grace, seconded by John, thirded if there's such a thing by Paul.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll put 5 minutes on the clock, and if we want to have more than 5 minute discussions, which I'm sure we will, we'll have to move to extend, just because we're now 25 minutes
Right.
behind.
Right.
All right.
Which is
I'll
why
start the clock.
if we just vote on this, we don't necessarily have to extend and we can get some time back into our meeting.
Right. So Greg has his hand raised.
Can I share my screen, please?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so again, as we did the quick overview, with this request, if you would take note of the items that are in purple, if we move forward on this request or any other request, we would have to move money from the event expense line, which means that we will either not have any events for this year or in part, and or we would have to move money from the neighborhood community improvement projects, which we didn't do any of those last year, but we have $6,000 total. And then we also have this miscellaneous fund that I really would like to keep that as a cushion for down the road. But I just want people to know that when we choose to do one thing, then we are choosing not to do other things when we are, and that's it. So that's all I need to share.
Greg, may I ask you,
Yes.
if this motion passed, meaning we're just kind of marking it, we wouldn't need to do yet a budget realignment, is that correct?
No. So what I think we should do is that if we approve this, then what I need to do is to come to the executive board next time and say, based upon everything that we did, these are the proposed changes to the budget, and then we approve that, and then we need to bring it back to the board again. It's very tedious. And then I need to submit the budget adjustment before we can actually execute that. But this, with these items, it will work for the timeline.
Right. I mean, but we wouldn't have to get that deep into the budget woods tonight.
That's
with
why
this, if this motion passed.
That's correct. But I just wanted, I think it's essential for everyone to know that going in. Now, when we work out the details, that comes down the line, but we need to know it going in, that, because I don't want anyone to say, well, why are we doing Walk on Washington if COVID clears? And because everyone say, well, we spent the money on something else. So I just want us to be aware of that going in. So we say, oh yeah, I remember. We moved the money to this good cause, so we can't execute the other good cause that we want to do.
Okay. Are there other? Great, your hand is still up. So I see no other hands up. And I'm really sorry I didn't write the motion into the chat, but I can again restate the motion that essentially it's to set aside but not fund the $6,000 and refer the outreach portion of the campaign to outreach committee, which meets Tuesday night, and then the whole shebang to executive, which would meet on Tuesday, hang on, the 18th of January. So
Laura, this is Gabby. I just want to clarify, if we're referring the items to outreach, I mean, do we have to, if we're already going or plan to reach out to Lizzie for comments on?
Yeah, we can't reach out to Lizzie as an individual, Gabby. I'm so sorry. She has a committee meeting on Tuesday, and half the 6,000 is part of an outreach campaign that's not yet approved. So we would, I mean, there's technical reasons why I had said what I said.
I'm just asking for clarification, Laura.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know that there was a discussion with Lizzie. I don't know the content of the discussion, but it still would need to be through the committee for that portion, which is her committee, outreach committee. Teresa?
Let me just say, first of all, I think this is a great presentation, but I asked this question of Raheem earlier. Why was, and I know I was somebody who was advocating for a rollout, so let me just clarify that, but why did this not come to executive first? So we wouldn't have to go through this again. We could have approved it. It could be presented February board meeting. We could approve it and then we could be done with it. Now it's got to go to outreach, then it's got to come to executive. Now it's got to come back. And I just don't know why that we had to have that circuitous route to getting approval for this.
Well, I think it's because there's not a lot, and I'm speaking for myself, well, not a lot of clarity on this process, and especially like when in that process, and then there's no clear, there's still like there's no clear delineation where communication stops and outreach starts, and vice versa. And so like, you know, so like a lot of these things, like, you know, I might think are just are completely our purview. In which case, like if we're coming up with communication committee ideas, like should we have to go to the executive committee before we go to the board? Like it just seems kind of like a step that we shouldn't have to take. And so if that's the thinking, then I think that's kind of
no. But for money, Raheem, I'm sorry to cut you off, but if you're going to ask us to fund it, or you want the board to fund it, why not come to executive? If I understand that's the procedure to get approval for the funding, and then now you come to the board to actually do the funding on it. If I understand correctly.
And I guess I don't understand completely why, if I'm a committee chair, I need to go to the executive committee before I go to the board with the funding request.
I don't know either. Maybe Laura can explain that, or Greg, or somebody else, or Dolores, since she's in charge of executive.
Greg wants to explain.
Okay.
But wait, Nancy, are we needing to extend this time yet?
I'm going to extend it. I would like to make a motion to extend it 10 more minutes so I can have a further understanding of the correct procedures for how these things are supposed to be.
Okay, we have people waiting for their agenda items as well, though. Can we do 5 minutes?
Okay, that's fine, I guess. If I can get a second. Does anybody want to second that?
Second.
Thank you, Greg.
Sure.
It has to pass by 2/3.
Oh,
okay. And can we do it, but we can do it by raise of hands. So all in favor of extending by 5 minutes, please raise your virtual hand.
We have at least 13 virtually.
Okay, thank you, John.
Oh.
Okay, it looks like we have 5 minutes, so.
Okay, so
go ahead, Greg.
the quick version, Raheem, and to all of us, is that money requests need to come to the executive board. Now, the projects that you are developing, of course, you develop those in your committees amongst yourselves. But when a committee says, okay, this is the idea that we have, and we want to spend money, then we should make it a standard practice that all funding requests comes to the executive board so that the executive board can say, this is consistent. We already have a budget. One, we already have a budget line for this. And or two, to fund this, we need to do a budget adjustment for it. Because if it was at the executive board, then we could have put the budget adjustment on this agenda also. We could have said, we're going to fund this. And then once we fund it, then we say, okay, now that we have that approved, now we need to do a budget adjustment so that we can do the budget adjustment, because I need to submit the budget adjustment to the city before the city will release the funds on the line. So the work that you do, the executive board is not dictating or overseeing the work that you're doing, because you guys are the resident experts in that area, and we all celebrate that, and is consistent with the vision outreach and reaching the community. But for the allocation of funds, we do need it to come to the executive board. And just to be on the safe side, even when we know that money has been allocated, we still should come to the executive board, because then we can say, yes, there's $50 left on that line. And that way it's clear and consistent.
Right.
But we know it always doesn't happen that way.
Right.
That's what we're trying to.
Right.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it seems like it'd be maybe like a huge waste of time if there's like 5 things coming to you guys and you're having to do like budget reallocations for 5 things that may not eventually even pass the board. So this process seems a little clunky to me, but all right.
Yeah, well, it is all clunky. Depends upon which way you approach it. But from the clunkiness, we just have to juggle different parts, and what we presented to you is the most efficient way to do it for now. I'm asking you to trust me on it, brother. I really am.
And I will just, thank you, Greg. I will just also add, quite a few neighborhood councils actually have a monthly budget meeting. And so any funding request first goes to their budget meeting, then to their officers meeting, and only then to governing boards. So we skipped that step. I have been in one of those meetings where I was one of the applicants for funding in another neighborhood council. So it can be very clunky. But what I'm trying to achieve with this is that this money can't be spent elsewhere at this moment, but it can't be funded yet for this. And I think we have a little time anyway. That would be my goal. Is there any other comment by anybody who has a different goal, a different comment, a different anything, or can we call the question? I think the chair can't call the question, but I think seeing no other
What you mean, call
hands.
the question? You mean call the roll, or do you want me to read the
Well,
motion?
I'm just going to say, let's take the vote.
Okay. Jasmine, so this is a vote to set aside but not fund $6,000 for the branding.
For the whole rollout, for the branding rollout.
For the branding rollout, it's to go to outreach and then to executive committee.
Right, to go to outreach for those portions that are outreach. The social media is not outreach. And then executive committee, both of them this month, and come back to the board to finalize it. And Greg's hand is back up. Is that on purpose?
Yes. Laura, can you type that and put that in the chat, please?
Yes, I will.
I appreciate that.
Thank
you. Okay.
Yes. And again, maybe this is just a technical statement, but when you say we can't spend money in other places,
no.
Yeah, technically we say we're going to spend money on those other items. So until we actually vote in the exec to reallocate funds, everything just has this, in my mind, everything has the same weight. So we just need to adjust the weight. No response needed to that. I'm just my concern.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the roll now. Jasmine?
Yes.
Jasmine is a yes. Dorit?
Yes.
Oh, Dorit's here. Thank you. Raheem?
Yeah.
Taylor?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Thank you. Grace?
Yes.
Dennis?
You betcha.
Corrine?
Yes.
Teresa's a yes. Greg?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Sarah Lacey?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, that motion passes.
Okay, next item on the agenda, flipping through, Public Safety Committee, maybe we, since we're past our time, we no longer have to follow the time on the agendas. That's a yay. But we have a Public Safety Committee report with recommendations. And Dennis, do you want to take the floor? I didn't post any items to share. This is more conceptual, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to take a few minutes just to explain how we got here?
A very few minutes, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have the existing but inactive Public Safety Committee, and we'd like to activate it and change the name to the Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Committee. Now, emergency preparedness comes from the structure within the city. You have an emergency management department for the city of LA, which was mandated by the Resilient Los Angeles document that came out a couple of years ago. You have the Emergency Preparedness Alliance, which I actually am the liaison from our neighborhood council to that. We are now the lowest tier, the local tier for that. But we recognize that what we're really talking about is preparing for our neighborhood to deal with disaster. So that's our focus. And initially, the focus is on preparing for recovering from earthquakes. Grace happened to bring up the question of funds before. Let me just mention, there's a great need for funds, but the funds need to be allocated to the emergency management department because they can provide the resources, the staff, the materials that we need. We might need something for local outreach, but that's the big need for funds. There's a lot of ways to approach this structure. We've had we can partner with our neighborhood associations. We can work through the cool blocks as part of their far broader initiative. We can coordinate with the CERTs. And there's a lot of ways we can educate ourselves. We have a lot of work to do. The Resilient Los Angeles plan, the Ryland plan, the Emergency Preparedness Alliance has a plan. The fire department's got several related programs. So the outreach plan channels that we can use were suggested: neighborhood events, school programs, distribution of take-home kits, and some website resources. That's kind of an overview of how we got here.
So, and thank you very much. So the specific recommendations from the committee, there were essentially three. I divided them into two agenda items, A and B for this, 12A and B. But the committee recommendation A was specifically to change the committee name to Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Committee. And along with that, establish a standing meeting date on the second Monday of each month. So Dennis, is that your motion?
That is my motion. Thank you.
And is anyone willing to second that motion?
I second that motion.
That's Corinne. And is there any further discussion at all, or comments, questions? All right, let's vote.
Okay, this is to change public safety, to change the name of this committee. We all know what it is. Okay, Jasmine?
Yes.
Jasmine is a yes. Dorit?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yep.
Taylor?
Yep.
Charlie?
Yes.
Thank you. Paul?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Kareen?
Yes.
Teresa's a yes. Greg?
Yes.
Nancy?
Oh, she stepped out for a minute.
Okay. Sarah Lacey?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes.
Okay, and the second motion, 12B, appoint committee chairs. And we should discuss if anyone else would have wanted to be a committee co-chair, but the committee recommends Dennis Leskey and Grace Yu as committee co-chairs. I would like to know if anyone else wanted to be the co-chair. Okay, and that silence means no, but this motion, if somebody makes it and seconds it, also needs to pass by a 2/3 vote. So is there someone who'll make the motion to nominate Dennis and Grace as co-chairs?
I make the motion to nominate Dennis and Grace as co-chairs of the Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Committee.
A second, John.
Thank you, John. I will call I guess we have discussion now, Laura.
Yeah, is there any discussion? So we can go ahead and vote. And again, in our bylaws or standing rules somewhere, to appoint a committee chair must be elected by 2/3.
Okay. Jasmine?
Yes.
Dorit?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yep.
Taylor?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Karine?
Yes.
Teresa's a yes. Greg?
Yes.
Nancy? Is she still stepped away?
Um,
Okay. Sarah Lacey?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Okay, I believe that's more than 2/3, Laura.
Okay, I believe so too. Okay, item 13 is executive committee. Number A is a funding request, and we have our requester here, and Dennis's hand is up.
I think I need a bit of clarification here. My notes show that we voted to change the name to Public Safety and Emergency Preparation, and that Grace and I will be the co-chairs. I don't know if we voted for the meeting.
It was
schedule.
the
Do we need to
motion
vote?
included the schedule,
Okay, great.
which can change. I mean, in other words, if you call a meeting and no one comes on the second Monday of this month, you might discuss a different date. But for now, and then the committee can make its own decision on the date so long as it doesn't conflict. We don't actually have to vote on the dates. It's just there now. Okay. Okay. Hi, Cassandra and Greg.
Hello.
Greg, are you still here or did you step away?
No, I'm here.
Okay. How do you want to because Dolores is not here, so I'm in effect chairing this section, but we do have a funding request from
I could
Ignite.
show the presentation that's in the folder. So-
Well, we have a new, Cassandra, is the presentation you just emailed me the one that's also in our folder?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you could do that, but did you want to introduce this item is really my question, Greg, or do I just let Cassandra
No, let
introduce?
Cassandra present.
Okay. Cassandra, can you introduce yourself? Say hello.
Yes. Good evening.
Tell us
My
where we
name-
are.
Okay, yes. Good evening. My name is Dr. Cassandra Bailey. I am the founder and CEO of Ignited Light. And I'm here before you because I have requested funding for the 6th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, which we have been partnering with community businesses in the greater Los Angeles area since 2016.
Cassandra, can I just stop a second? Greg, are you going to share? Because I can share it.
Yes, I'm just
Okay.
letting her do the intro, then
Okay.
when she says okay,
That's
so
fine.
here you go. Here we go.
Thank you. All right, so actually you can move to the slide 3.
Okay, wait a minute. Oh, that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, there you go.
Okay. All right. So our major partners are Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza, Holman United Methodist Church Community Build, Los Angeles Sentinel, TEDx Crenshaw, AIDS Healthcare Foundation, and other local businesses in the area. Since the pandemic, we have had to scale down our event since we have to follow COVID guidelines. And so we looked at what the major needs were in the community based on our present conditions due to COVID. And so we are continuing to offer COVID testing as well as COVID vaccinations for adults and children. We will be providing all forms of the vaccination, and I have put the pre-registration link in the chat. We will also be providing HIV/AIDS and STD testing, which will be administered by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, and we are having a drive-through food giveaway. In addition to that, since we last met, we have partnered with a few other organizations. One is She Ready, and the other one is KP AP Keenan, and so they will be passing out backpacks and luggage to school-age children. Next slide, please. All right, so as I mentioned, our focus, I'm trying to move quickly through it, but we will not be providing the mammograms. We did not get enough registrations for that, but this is our projected budget, and what we're asking for from the United Neighborhood Council is $1,500 to help cover the cost of purchasing food, boxes of food at $30 each from World Harvest Food Bank. And we also have a donation of 1,000 boxes, which will be donated from the LA Regional Food Bank. Next slide, please. All right, so these are some of the other organizations that we have requested funding from. And we have received confirmations from LIFT, which was confirmed, and Black, which was also confirmed, the Stentorians and VSEDC. All those have been confirmed. Next slide. All right, and that's it.
Teresa, I'm sorry, I'm realizing that because Dolores, was pretty much running the meeting and it's not in the chat. Did you, on your minutes, do you know what executive committee voted in terms of the dollar amount to recommend?
You have to give me a second, I'll check.
Thank you. And Greg, do you feel it necessary to also share the NPG application, or should we just start discussion? Since you may have an update for us, Greg. Hello. Okay.
Sorry, I keep talking with me. No, not the form's a standard form. So
all right.
I mean, I don't think we gain anything by looking at it.
Okay, that's fine. So I know that you had ended up also talking to World Harvest, and I don't know what the final with that is while Teresa's looking up. I apologize, everybody, because I just realized it's not in the executive committee chat.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to?
Yeah, give us an update about what you discussed with World Harvest.
Okay, well, the request for $1,500 to buy food from World Harvest is what is presented to us on UNNC. But because we have a relationship with World Harvest said that we could use the currency of our goodwill with them for them to donate boxes to this event. Also, UNNC, we could place our logo on it. He told me how to work that out. So I'll talk to Lizzie about that, and then even a letter in the boxes also. But my proposal was that rather than providing the funds, we could provide the boxes in kind, service in kind. And that way that need would be met without us using funds for this project. What the executive board stated was that they were all okay, or we were all okay with me moving forward with that that action. But the executive board also wanted to bring the funding requests before the board, before the general board. And yeah, I guess that's the overview.
Right, so Teresa, I think what we then voted was to bring the $1,500 forward and to ask Greg to pursue World Harvest. Is that correct?
Right, and I think Greg did talk to World Harvest.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and they will provide the boxes.
Okay,
And-
so
okay.
for the board, the executive committee recommendation, so this would be a motion, but it would require a second. So the executive committee motion would be to, is it move forward or recommend $1,500 for this?
Well, Madam President, if I may, again, this is an item where, again, we need to look at our wallet.
Yeah,
because
no, Greg, I understand that. What was the motion? It then would require a second. We may not even have a second, or it might be just amended, but I think we have to move executive committee's motion forward. So
We
Teresa.
can move it forward, but it was only up to 1,500, so it doesn't
Correct.
have to be for 1,500. Okay.
Correct.
Okay,
So
may I continue?
the actual motion, which would require a second, was to recommend to move forward up to $1,500 for us to fund for food boxes for this event, that Ignited Light is sponsoring, and to ask Greg to work with World Harvest to see if they indeed would provide 100 boxes of food. So that's the motion that I guess I'm making on behalf of executive committee. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So discussion is, do we want to spend $1,500? Do we want to, we're getting 100 boxes. Do we want to also spend $1,500 to get more boxes of food to distribute? And Cassandra, can you just remind me, how many boxes total are you hoping to distribute?
2,000.
1,000.
Two.
And so the 2,000.
Yes.
2,000. Okay, so Greg, your hand is still up or up again?
It's up again.
Thank you.
If we continue the discussion.
Yes.
Okay, so well, I'll have different points at different stages of the conversation. My effort was to say, if we are providing the boxes, then there was no need to provide money to purchase boxes. Yes, that's my point.
Right. I understand. I'm just trying to ethically move forward what our actual motion was. Right.
So
Grace.
for clarification, we're getting 100 boxes from World Harvest?
That's correct.
I think we should really clarify that UNNC during the first months of COVID, when it was a total emergency and we had nothing to spend money on at all, donated many thousands of dollars to World Harvest. So that's why we have and in the prior years, so we donated money to provide vouchers for people. We donated money to provide boxes of food to apartment build, seniors, family housing. And there may still, maybe the reason they're being so generous is there may still be some boxes they owe us, but not 100, that's for sure. But also in the past, we had donated, donate is the wrong word, done NPGs for other things. So they're very
That's okay.
happy with us.
It's perfectly fine. So basically, did we say it's each box is $30 or $40?
$30.
$30.
So $3,000 is what we're getting right now.
Yes.
Okay. And their request was initially for 1,500. So
Yes.
we've done our 3,000 is my take financially.
Well, in kind, yes. Are there
Was
any?
this allocated already in our budget, Greg?
We on this line, we only have $1,000 left on this line. Now, that doesn't mean we can't move money around, but please keep in mind, we just received a request for $6,000, which is going to wipe out another line. So, and then we still have time left in the year.
Right. Greg, are we guaranteed that these boxes are really going to go with or without our logo on it? But are we, is it really going to happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, right.
No, I saw the email to Glenn and I didn't see Glenn's response. That's all.
No, we talked.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked. Yes.
Nancy.
I'm gonna put my hand down because my hand's
Yes,
full.
but Nancy has her hand up.
Greg, so do we need to do anything to vote to have those boxes be
No.
granted to the organization or?
No.
No, okay.
No. We said, hey, buddy, can you do this for us? He said, yeah, buddy, we can do that. Wait, not, I'm exaggerating, but yes, he will.
Well, yeah, I hope we didn't do exactly that great.
Well, sometimes I do. It works.
Paul has his hand up.
So my questions for Greg is, can you recommend an amount that would fit in with our budget that would not cause us undue stress, for lack of a better word, when it comes to reallocating in the next few months what remaining dollars we have left for this request?
Paul, I want to answer the question in the following manner. What I'm trying to do in this role is to, well, the short answer to your question is, I would rather not, because what I'm trying to do is just to say to the entire board, this is what we have, this is what we said we were going to do, and this is how much time we have left, and the things that we said we wanted to do. So I can't really answer that question.
Okay.
Okay, Nancy has her hand up.
All right. I was gonna move to table this, but I don't know
we can't.
If we should just vote.
We should vote because the event is this month.
All right. So Greg, my only concern, I'll wait. Teresa has her hand up.
I don't necessarily want to make a motion, but it's up to 1,500, so we can allocate, $600 or, something. $600 would give her 30 boxes. I don't know how many boxes, but maybe we could just do a smaller amount, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And Greg, what I was about to say is I would like to vote, and I think Teresa's amount is a good idea, that many boxes, as a just in case, meaning kind of amend the motion that, I just haven't seen the written response from the director of World Harvest where we know for sure those boxes, 100 boxes. And people, we're back into a COVID crisis. I worry about families who might be going, hungry. Food insecurity is a real thing. And I feel like we should allocate at least some of the money, or at least have it as the backup, because we don't have a second chance here. Either we either vote tonight or we don't. If we don't vote any money tonight, and then Glenn, something goes wrong, there's no food boxes.
I don't understand. I don't know if I'm allowed to respond to.
Yeah, please do.
But I don't know if I should, because then
You know what?
we go back and
Let
forth.
me say this on behalf of our friend, Glenn Corrado at World Harvest. When he says he's going to deliver, he's going to deliver. So
Okay.
I know he's going to give the 100 boxes. So no one needs to be concerned that they're not going to get the food that was promised. If UNNC board members would like to give an additional 20, I think that's great. But we had initially thought, we were going to be able to give 50. We're getting 100, and now we're going to be voting for 120, or like 20 from us and 100 because of us.
Right. Okay, and Lizzie, and then let's try and wrap this up, please. Lizzie.
I do have a response from Glenn, which is embedded into Greg's email that he sent me, notifying me about the labels. So it says, "Aloha, Greg. We are more than honored to support UNNC. You and your endeavors. We can put together 100 boxes, including protein. Please let me know the date, the time, and the location on the level." And then there's the logo from World Harvest. So there is something in writing.
Okay. Teresa.
I just want to say, if Greg said the guy said he talked to him and that's what he said, there's no reason why we should not trust Greg. We don't have to have it in an email. And I just really think that was really, truly disrespectful for you to say that, Laura, just to be honest. So I'd like to move on. Maybe, oh, go ahead, Lizzie, sorry.
No, that's not what it is. I do agree that we should have something in writing, and I knew that we did. So I wanted to make it clear to the entire board.
Okay, let's vote.
Okay, well, what are we voting on? Are we trying to amend this motion? Or just
What is the
voting?
motion?
At the moment, the motion is to move forward the request for $1,500. And I am not necessarily hearing that that's what anyone's in favor of.
I want to amend it to remove all funds from the request and just support providing the 100 boxes. That's
Greg,
my-
alternatively, we can just move to table because you said that we don't have to approve the 100 boxes.
That
So
is
we can
true
just move
also.
to table.
That is true also. But if we table, Nancy, then it's dead because the event is the 15th. It's
Yeah, but it's dead either way.
right. Okay, well, that would be, okay.
Is someone making the motion? Who's making the motion to table?
Is a motion to table require a BAC? Or
What?
is it by hand, raise of hands?
Is Gibson on?
I don't know.
Let's just do a BAC because by the time we figure it out.
Okay, this is a motion to table.
And I second that motion.
Okay, Greg, was it made by you, Greg?
I'm not,
Okay, who
I'm
made the
not
motion?
being funny, but I'm a little bit confused now. So my motion, Nancy is saying we table the motion, table everything. So that's not my motion, but that's the motion is to table this action, right? So that's made by Nancy and I'll second it. How's that?
Okay.
Okay.
That work?
That works.
That's good. Jasmine?
No.
Pardon me? I didn't hear you, Jasmine. Jasmine is a no. Dorit?
No.
Okay, I'm very sorry. I had to step away. What are we voting on now?
Nancy made a motion to table this item.
Okay,
Greg seconded.
thank you. Thank you.
Jasmine was a no. Dorit is a no. Raheem?
Abstain.
Raheem abstains. Taylor?
Yes.
Taylor's a yes. Charlie?
Yes.
Charlie's a yes. Paul? Paul? Laura?
I'm
Sorry,
abstaining at the
Paul is a
moment.
no. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
Okay. Paul is a no. Laura?
is an abstain.
Laura abstains. Sarah Long Henry?
Abstain.
Sarah abstains. Grace?
Yes.
Grace is a yes. Dennis?
No,
Dennis is a no. Teresa is a yes. Greg?
Yes.
Greg is a yes. Nancy?
Yes.
Nancy's a yes. Sarah Lacey?
Abstain.
Sarah abstains. Lizzie?
Yes.
Lizzie's a yes. John?
Yes.
John's a yes. 8 yeses, 4 noes, and 4 abstentions.
I
It
don't
does
think I
not
voted.
pass.
It's a tie.
Yeah, it does not pass.
Okay.
Okay, so someone has to make
another motion then.
Yes.
Okay, just so I understand, this motion did not pass because we didn't have 2/3?
No, because you
Majority.
don't have a majority yes.
Oh, a majority, yes, okay.
Wait,
right.
wait. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And I don't know about Joshua Johnson. Is Joshua Johnson a voting member? No.
No.
So there's only 17 of us.
But only 16 voted, apparently.
What about
Right, so
myself? Do I vote?
Oh, Corinne, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
Corinne, I'm
Abstain.
Okay, now we're at a does not pass.
Okay.
Corinne. Sorry.
Does not pass. So can I just ask so we can cut to the chase, is there a small amount of money that somebody wanted to propose? Is that what's going on here?
Because they're already getting 100 boxes, right? They're getting 100 boxes already. So this is just about the amount of money.
Right.
For
So this
additional boxes.
this is now about, do we want to fund any amount of money at all to this event? If someone wants to make a should I just, Nancy, technically, do I just withdraw the original motion? Or are we, or do I need amendment?
Someone can move to amend it.
Okay,
So
is there
I
a
move to
motion?
amend. I move to amend that we allocate $600 to give an additional 20 boxes, because through our actions at UNNC, we were able to provide 120 boxes when the initial request were for 50 boxes. So my amendment is to give $600 so that we can purchase an additional 20 boxes. And I'm
Okay.
saying all this, and this doesn't need to go into the motion. That would be the end of the motion. But to explain it is we're giving 120 boxes.
Right. And is there a second to the amended motion?
I'll second.
I second that.
All right. I don't know who made the first.
I think it was Dennis.
Okay. And let me, Greg, technically, are we able to also amend the motion that it is a purchase of 20 boxes and it's not an MPG? That we directly purchase the 20 boxes, not give the money to Ignited Light and then they do it?
We,
Are we able to do that?
well, the request, the NPG, I'm not answering your question directly, but with the NPG, we would give the money to United Light.
No, I understand. If we vote to approve an NPG, it's a check issued to Ignited Light.
Yes.
And
yes.
and it might not be on time, but it would happen. So is that the best way to do it, or is the best way to do it?
No, that's what we're restricted
Okay,
to
that's
do.
fine. I'm only asking a question. So
Right.
the amendment to the original motion is to fund $600 for the NPG requested by Ignited Light to purchase 20 food boxes for a total cost of $600 for this event via World Harvest, something like that. That's the amended motion. Can we vote?
Yes.
We can vote.
Jasmine?
Oops, Raheem popped his hand up.
I'm just curious if we need to cut a check and it's not going to be cut ahead of the event, then what are we doing, right?
That is a concern.
Cassandra, is that a concern?
It's not a concern for us because we can allocate money from another source to cover the additional 20 boxes, and that would be a reimbursement once the check is received.
All right. So let's.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Pardon me?
Said thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Call the question.
Yes.
Okay, Jasmine,
Yes.
Dorit,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yeah.
Taylor,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Grace.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Sarah Long Henry,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Kareen,
Yes.
Teresa's a yes. Greg,
No.
Nancy,
Abstain.
Sarah, Lacey,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
and John.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes.
Okay. Okay. The next item is 13B, update on Jefferson Boulevard Greenbelt Street Tree Planting and Maintenance Project. A status report on the overall project, discuss concerns regarding the MPG for Cal Greenworks, discuss possible recommendations to cancel the MPG, confirm UNNC's commitment to this project. I do want to point out that both Greg and I separately did remind Cal Greenworks that this is on tonight's agenda, but I don't see them in the room. Greg, had you received a response?
Negative.
So other than the response, we all got the letter that I did send out. So very quick, I want to give quick background and then you can move on from there, Greg, if that's okay.
No, I just wanted to make sure we close out the last item and thank Dr. Bailey for attending.
Oh, yeah.
The presentation, because it's kind of like we leave it, kind of like left her hanging, you know? Like, should I just hang out with you guys or, you know? Yeah.
She's welcome to hang out with us, guys, but I'd like us guys to try and get done with the agenda too.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I do have 2 flyers that I will forward to you. One is the pre-vaccination flyer and the other one is the flyer for the day of service itself.
Okay. And do you, Cassandra, do you have, I know Raheem will want to know this. Do you have social media little thingamajiggies that we can also use for Facebook and Instagram?
Yes.
So what I'm gonna do is put Raheem in contact direct with you because he'll know what he needs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, have a good evening.
Okay. All right. So I just want to take 90 seconds and let's see if I'm on the clock for 90 seconds. Back in October 2019, at our governing board retreat, the 31st Street Quality of Life Committee came with an idea that we could help fund by partnering with them on a Lonnie grant, the planting of 25 trees on Jefferson Boulevard. And we ultimately voted to do that, and they succeeded. The 31st Street Quality of Life Committee succeeded in getting a small Lonnie grant, and we had voted some funds. This was again in late 2019. A lot of things happened such that the project didn't happen very quickly, and then COVID hit. And then as a result of COVID hitting, we were able to, and this was still for, initially it was for Jefferson, but we were able to more generically keep the funds and encumber them for 25 trees in general on commercial corridors. Because one of the glitches at the time was that there were not 25 locations that could easily be planted with trees with the kind of funding that they were applying for, if I'm saying that right, because there were too many stumps. There were other issues. We rolled it over and then allocated it to the Washington Boulevard project. But at the same time, we're ongoing through environmental committee. At the same time, the 31st Street Quality of Life Committee identified another entity, Cal Greenworks, and with funding to actually do the project even in the spaces where previously they couldn't have trees because they had other funds available to dig out stumps and things like that. And so what UNNC did initially was we voted on a community improvement project last, I want to say February or March or April, to also grant about $7,000 for this project. And then in May of 2021, we converted that to a NPG, which is a neighborhood purpose grant to the Cal Green Works, a 501c3 organization. So that was approved and is sitting in our, we turned it in properly, it's sitting in last year's fiscal budget, not denied, not approved, it's just sitting there. And from there, I know Greg has a report, but what we've had a series of meetings with city officials as well as internally. And what we've learned is that if we cancel the MPG, we also, to keep the money and be able to spend it on this project, would also need to continue to support the project. It's a finesse that we're not sure necessarily how we move forward with, and it gets complicated because it's last year's budget. It's not this year's budget. Cannot just replenish into our general accounts. Greg, you're up. You're muted, but you're up. And I'm going to take a moment. I think I need to.
Yeah, I just want to, my concern is that I just want to give the quick down and dirty version of this. This issue is that we still want this project to happen. We're still supporting this project, but the motion, should I talk about the motion, Madam President, or shall I? I'm gonna talk about the motion. The organization that Cal Green Works that was going to work this project for the Jefferson Street, their 501(c)(3) status has changed. So we're concerned about their financial stability to support the project. So the motion, so there's two motions that we will bring up eventually. One for tonight is that we want to cancel this NPG with this organization, and the city told us that the project still can go forward if we find another organization that can do the project. So the motion that I want to present to the board is that we want to cancel this NPG with Cal Green Works. Yeah, that's it. That's basically it. And the background is because of their nonprofit status has changed where they're in receivership. And then based up, we had multiple conversations with them about the financial strength, but the motion would be to change council because their 501(c)(3) status is of concern.
This is Dorit. I second the motion.
Okay, great. I'm sorry. This was just what I missed. Did you type the motion? I missed. I was sort of missing.
No, I did not. I can. But
Well, what I'm asking is, was it as simple as due to their change in their 501?
I didn't do any preamble wording. I said cancel this NPG with Cal Green Works due to their change. Just cancel this NPG with Cal Green Works. That's
right.
It. We don't need to give a reason.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded, but Laura would like to present a proposed amendment. One of the big issues that Dolores what Grace just wrote is exactly right. One of the big issues Dolores is concerned about is that we would end up with some sort of liability. Given that their 501(c)(3) status is currently in abeyance, that's a totally legitimate reason to cancel this NPG. And that's what I think we really need to say, as Grace just wrote in the chat. So if it is okay to amend the motion, I think Now I don't see it. Did Grace just write this in the chat?
Yes.
Right.
That's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to close the chat and look at it again. There we go. So if you would not mind amending the
I would
motion.
not mind the motion being amended.
Okay.
The mayor has to accept it.
Do we need to vote on this amendment?
Oh, I feel we need to because we're canceling an MPG. And
No, do
know
we
that
need to
there will
vote on
be
the
some-
amendment before we vote on the
No,
whole
he just,
thing?
didn't he just verbally amend? Aren't you?
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
hoping is
will amend
okay.
my motion. I will amend my motion. Let's
Okay.
go. Let's go.
Yes, let's just go.
I accept it.
Thank you,
Okay,
Grace. Thank you,
Lizzie
Grace.
has her hand up. She's muted. Oh, there we go.
Okay. Do we, given that Greg said there's a possibility that once we cancel the MPG, we could reach out to another organization who could take care of the job. Okay, so what happens now? Because in the letter, Cal Green Works is saying that they have 2 additional fundings to go ahead with the project, and they are stating that they are continuing with the project. So are these entities going to clash, and we are in the middle of all this? So I just want to have some clarification on that. Please.
Yeah, Greg has his hand up, but I'm not sure Greg and I are on the same page on this one. I share Lizzie's concern, so I'm going to let Greg talk for 1 minute, and then I will speak for 1 minute.
5 minutes?
No,
Why do you do
1
that?
minute,
because
because there may be other discussions.
Okay, so, Lizzie, since August, Kyle Greenworks has been saying, we got lots of money. But at the same time that they said we got lots of money, they came to us and asked us for money. Said we're gonna ask for money. I'm like, whoa, what is the, if this is, you were supposed to have money to do this for 3 years. So that prompted the whole conversation. Like, we're concerned about your organization. And then for them to say in a letter, we have plenty of money. Well, that has been our whole conversation with them. Like, do you have money? And then they got mad when we asked them for money. So on one side, he's saying he doesn't have money. Another time he's getting mad that we're saying, show us that you're financially stable. And then he just sends a letter with just saying it. Well, I'm a billionaire, I'm a billionaire. I can just say that. But there's no documentation to prove that. Now, we don't have the authority to demand that he show us that. But as a community partner, we have politely asked him to show us his financial strength. And then when he did show me documents that showed his financial strength, it was for grants that had expired.
Okay, Greg.
Okay, am I beyond my 1 minute?
You're beyond your 1 minute, but you might get to come back, but I just want to, do my little 1 minute, and then let's see what other people have to say. So my little 1 minute is as soon as we pass this motion, we need to do a second motion very on its heels about how we support the Jefferson Boulevard Greenbelt project. The issue with the letter that they sent us, our technical issue is that they're saying, with or without your money, we are moving forward. So what we have to be really careful that we're not doing is interfering with that. They either do move forward or they don't rather quickly. And our money would be not to give money to them, but if there are trees planted, we could give money to somebody to water and maintain them. But at the moment, our difficulty is that letter says we have other funders, and not only that, they expect us to plant those trees. And I feel that that's the only piece of true verbiage that we've heard from them. I think they do have other funders who expect them to plant trees, not necessarily those trees, but trees. and they're struggling not to collapse the whole organization. Not our responsibility. But I also don't want to get into that we caused their collapse, because that's back to liability. So what I want to do personally is vote to cancel this particular MPG because the 501c3 status is no longer in good standing, and then follow it immediately tonight with another motion that we do support this project and will endeavor to fund the watering and maintenance of 25 young trees on Jefferson Boulevard. So that, I think that's the safest path for us tonight, and see what happens. And then next month we might have another session. That's my
Sounds
opinion.
good.
Does anybody else have anything to say at this late hour?
That's fine.
I'm sorry, but that is just far too confusing.
I know.
Yeah, I personally say let's just cancel this, and let's just cancel it.
If we cancel it, Dorit, we lose our money.
I don't
I mean,
care.
I
I would rather us lose that money because it goes back to the city of Los Angeles than try to do this weird thing that we're talking about doing of canceling this, but support this and that. And no, let's just cancel this. It's clean, it's efficient, it's uncomplicated. That's just my thought.
Okay, Dennis, then Greg, and then can we call the question unless somebody else, and Grace. But I mean, in other words, new thoughts, let's not repeat thoughts. Dennis.
I'm concerned about I'm a little confused about the 501, the tax exempt status on this thing. If it was a part of the deal in the first place, we can ask for insurance, and if they can't give us the insurance, then we drop that contract. If that's the case, that seems pretty straightforward.
That part is
What'd you say,
straightforward,
George?
Dennis.
What'd you say? Asking for what?
Assurance that they have or will regain their status.
No, we can't set, we really can't, I'm just going to jump in. The city cannot write them a check if they don't have a 501c3 status. We gave the grant to a particular 501c3. They now have a fiscal sponsor. If we were in the mood, we could do another BAC to do it to the fiscal sponsor, but I don't think we're in the mood to do that. That makes it even more complicated. But we're just trying to be technical, cancel for a technical reason, and that gets us out of any liability, I think.
I'll
Okay.
defer to Grace, and then I'll go. Grace, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, Grace.
Yes, I've been trying to type something like move to cancel our contract with California Greenworks due to their 501c status not being in good standing.
Right.
Period, or semicolon, and then giving UNNC the authority to allow another 501c3 to do the work that was supposed to have been done through.
Yeah, but we're canceling a grant that we made, so we can't make that in the same motion. It could be a second motion, but not the same motion. Greg, your hand is still up, sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to assure Dorit and Lizzie and really all of us that the city's guidance was that we could cancel this. We're within our rights to do that. And that we're within our rights to secure another organization. And we have been reaching out to other organizations that can provide the service. So that is something that our tree liaison, Ms. Teresa, is working on diligently. So yeah, there are a lot of moving parts, but the team is working on making it happen.
Right.
And yes, but again, please keep in mind, we've been doing this since
August. August. So, and also for clarity, if they turn around and plant 25 trees on Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, which is one of the things they said they were going to do, we would, yay, but that doesn't mean we have to give them the MPG.
Right.
It still could go to LA Conservation Corps or whoever to water and maintain. So that our issue is get the trees in the ground and keep them alive once they're in the ground. right? So,
Yes,
but
Paul.
this motion is to cancel the MPG due to the change in the 501c3 status. I mean, I know I'm saying it differently, but that would be what we're voting on right this sec.
Can we call the question?
I'm trying.
Let's vote.
Okay, Jasmine? Is Jasmine still here? Jasmine?
Sorry, abstain. Abstain.
Okay. Dorit?
Yes.
Raheem?
Abstain.
Taylor?
Yes.
Charlie?
Is she still here?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. Paul?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Kareen?
Yes.
Teresa's also a yes. Greg?
Yes.
Nancy?
May have left.
Okay. Sarah Lacy?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Absolutely, yes.
And John?
Yes.
Okay.
That motion passes.
So do you guys want to humor me or not? You can do thumbs up or not to do a second motion that we affirm our support and dedication to the Jefferson Boulevard Greenbelt project.
That's symbolic.
Is that a safe enough motion, Greg, to
No, I think
keep?
that's symbolic. It's not.
No, let's
I mean,
not. No.
We live our life dedicated to them. I mean, I've been.
Well, didn't the
I don't
I'm
think we
sorry,
need to do that.
didn't the city clerk say we needed to do 2 BACs? That's all.
Yes, but the city clerk said we need to do 2 BACs, but there's no need to do another BAC until we have the new organization.
Did
Once you have
they
the new-
not say we need to do a BAC to affirm our support for the
No, they did not say
Jefferson?
that. As I was saying, the
Mhm.
city clerk said they will move the money. We can award the money to a new organization. The key word is a new organization. So in the BAC, when we draw the line, we're approving $6,900 and some dollars to organization, whatever, fill in the blank, to plant and water, whatever, trees
Okay.
for the Jefferson project. So we need the organization. We are fully dedicated to the Jefferson.
Okay, and so I walked away from that meeting with a different impression. So the only question is, do you want to humor me or not? It sounds like at 10:22 at night, the answer is no.
No, we
You
don't
don't
want to
want to
humor you.
humor me.
I don't want to humor you.
Okay,
Not
so
you.
then moving on.
Thank you.
Moving on. Are there any other committee updates? I know there
Yes.
was one. Yes.
Yes.
Greg.
Okay, so let me look at my notes here. We have the grand opportunity of working with Cal State University Dominguez Hill to have interns working with us, learning the ropes of good city governance, of how we do things, and sparking the interest of young people in what we do and providing us their brain power and their research ability. All it takes is for each of us in our committees or our functional areas to say, I want an intern. I want an intern. I want 2 interns. And if you say your committee or the projects that you're working on, if you say, Dennis, Lizzie, Raheem, whatever else, Teresa, whatever you do, Grace, whatever you guys do, if you say, I want an intern, Miss Sarah and Sam, the guy from Dominguez Hill, Professor Sam, will provide interns to work with you. All we need you to do is raise your hand. Come to the front. Come to the front right now. Yes. Okay, I'm done. Yes, Dennis. Yes, Dennis raised his hand. Dennis, yes.
Greg, can you give us a date when we have to have that back to you?
I wanted it last month, people. Remember?
Yes, I do, but
how about
Didn't we raise hands last month?
Yes.
Did you send yours in yet, Raheem?
I said
Raheem said yes. So yes, some
Yeah,
people. have
everybody
already
here knows I
said
said yes. What more
yes.
do you
Some
need?
people. Okay, here's.
Okay,
Greg,
guys,
there's some people who are there's some committees that have chairs that are not board members. Have those committees been reached out to? I could think of Homelessness Committee, Rec and Parks Committee. Their chairs are not on the board. They've been made aware of this.
You're correct, Dorit. I personally have not reached out to them and mentioned this to them. That's correct.
I have not talked to Recreation.
Yes. So
Yeah.
you're correct. You're correct. Oversight on my part. So yes, some people have said they are interested in doing this, but then we said, let's take it back. And I'm like, why? But we did. So I'm coming back again to say, if someone wants to work with the intern, please let me know. And Sarah, can you tell me when the next term starts? Like tomorrow or next week or?
She put it in the chat,
Oh, she
January
did?
24th.
January 24th. So hey, how about January, let's just say January 15th or something like that. Let me know, or I will email all of you again, and I will reach out to the committees to say who wants to intern, because we want to use these young people.
Right.
Or maybe old people, going back to college too.
I will speak for the Homelessness Committee. I'm pretty sure we're going to use an intern.
You want two? Okay.
I don't think we have enough space for two. I don't know if Tori could really juggle two, but I know for one thing that we could put together, we could definitely use an intern for.
Okay.
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 I want to,
Yes.
I'm trying to give you a warning. We're going to lose quorum and we need.
Okay, I'm done.
Greg,
I'm done.
and the one thing we really have to do is approve the monthly expenditure reports.
Okay, I'm done.
So
I will email
are there
everyone
any,
about-
but wait, we're not there yet. Are there any other committee updates? Lizzie.
Very quickly, just wanted to reiterate my gratitude to everyone for helping out on Ciclavia at the Ciclavia event. It was our first outreach event in person, and I think it was wildly successful. It was a great time for those of you who could not volunteer that day. Rest assured that we reached out to many of our neighbors and stakeholders, and we had fun. So thank you again. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other committees who have any reports, comments? Okay, President's report, just very, 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 very quickly. The only thing is an update. Amazing Grace, and I kind of alluded to it earlier in the evening, the Amazing Grace Conservatory, which is located at Wilton and Washington Boulevard, has a multi-year grant that comes to an end late March, early April, and they've already come to executive, but we don't have anything final. But it's they're going to do their culminating event, and that is not a walk on Washington, but it is going to have booths and things so we may be able to support our local businesses at the end of March or the beginning of April. So we're meeting again. The smaller group is meeting next week. So I just wanted to alert you. And otherwise, let's table President's report and move on to Treasurer's report. Greg, you're muted again, and it's the approval of the monthly MERS.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the first MERS report that we want to look at is the November monthly expenditure report for the month of November. This is our beginning balance. This is the monthly expenditure report. It shows what we spent in the month of November. Public storage, we paid our webpage manager. We gave a NPG to Dynasty. We paid Ann again money. We reimburse a secretary for the storage device. We paid our photographer. We executed the NPG for KYCC, which was from last year. So we make a motion that we approve the November monthly expenditure report.
Is there a second? Teresa seconds.
I'll second. I didn't know if I was on mute. I'll second.
Yeah, I saw your hand. And if there's no comments or questions, let's vote. And you can all unmute yourself for this, please.
Jasmine,
Yes.
Dorit,
Yes, ma'am.
Raheem,
Yep.
Taylor,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
I think Paul has left. Laura,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
oh, Sarah Long Henry.
Yes.
Thank you, Sarah. Dennis,
Yes.
Kareen,
Yes.
Teresa's a yes. Greg,
Yes.
Is Nancy still here? She left.
No.
Sarah Lacey,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
and John.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That passes.
Okay.
And Greg, do we have a December? We do.
Yes, we do, we do. Okay, so for December, the monthly expenditure report format is the same. You will notice it went from 31,000 to 51,000. Again, that is because the rollover from last year was placed on the budget. And also, as we shared in our detailed budget report, it shows us the net availability, but please keep in mind, funds have been earmarked for projects. And so for the month of November, I need to check on this, KYCC, neighborhood purpose grant. Okay, so they documented the same things twice because
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, that's a concern because that was in last month and this was last month. That was last month.
Well, they're
So it had-
showing, I think, Greg, are they showing the check issue dates in this?
No, well, they don't do it. If it's on one report, it shouldn't be on the same, a different report. So I have some concerns about this one. So
Should we do a motion to approve, but authorize the treasurer to, I mean, it's hard to approve it if it's not accurate. What do you want us
Well,
to do?
let's just, we
Excuse
can
me.
hold off. We can hold off.
Okay,
We can hold off. Okay, that's it.
so we're gonna table this till the next meeting.
Right, and then let me show you again, just so you can have the overview of the budget. Okay, in more detail. I will make it quick, my friends. Okay, so this is our budget. Let it come up. This is what we've already seen earlier at the beginning of the meeting. This is what I run from the MERS and then the actual, what's actually spent line by line. It's as of yesterday. It showed our yearly allocation, showed the rollover, it showed the Clean Street awards that I do want to do something with this year. And then we go down each line, we have the different operational, different areas. And then we have the amount of money that we put on each area. I try to use some color codes. Again, this amount of, when I put it in purple, I guess that would just show us money that we could move around. And then this shows what we spent to date on each line. Then outreach, we had advertisement. We had $300 earmarked for different outreach items. And I understand that bill will be coming in. Event expenses, know that that's highlighted in purple. And if we are going to do some of the communication and outreach things, we may move money from that. We need to keep in mind, are we going to have any events for this year? The community improvement projects, we have not executed any of those. So we have funds there that we could use, note that they're highlighted. The neighborhood purpose grant, again, this looks really large because the rollover funds came here, but those funds are already earmarked. So it looks like we only spent $8,996, but we have funds that are earmarked. And then it shows that we have a balance of $40,000, but we showed you at the beginning that those funds are earmarked for other projects. So that's the overview of the budget. And those are the footnotes. Are there any questions about any of the budget lines? Okay, I like spreadsheets, so, all right. Okay, that's it. I think because it's so late, you guys just like, whatever.
Yeah, well, we agree with everything. Just Greg, again, just please anticipate that Amazing Grace is definitely coming in 3 weeks regarding that event. So there, which was the in lieu of wash. Anyway, I'm just saying, keep it in mind.
Okay.
And we have the 6,000, so keep that in mind. I know you're really keeping these numbers in mind.
I'm
Teresa.
trying to function as a steward, not a controller.
No, you should be a controller
No.
and a steward.
Yeah, I'm using the controller in a different term, not in the,
Okay.
not in the
So
funding.
we are moving on to secretaries of report of minutes.
Do I need to talk, or I can just scroll slowly? If you guys have questions, just let me know. Also, Dorit, app starting now, I will make greater notations. I know I did it in this one a little bit, but I know you asked me to, instead of just listing the people who spoke during public comments, to include their concern or their statement. Also, while I'm doing this, Raheem, are you still on the line, still on this call?
Yep.
I noticed when I looked at a couple other neighborhood council meeting minutes, they had the city seal. And when you did your presentation for our new letterhead, I couldn't remember if you had the city seal on that or not.
Did not.
Raheem, can you
I
answer
did
that?
not. Nope.
Okay. I just, I don't know if you want to do it or not, but I did notice on other people's minutes, they actually had the city seal. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve these minutes from December the 2nd.
Yeah,
everyone-
is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Greg seconded.
Beats
Okay.
to it, beats to it.
And can we just do it by raise of hands? Or do you want me to do it? Okay.
Nah, it's late. But
My hand's
I can do
raised.
the BAC. I have it ready.
My hand's raised.
Okay, it looks like it's approved. Thank you very much. And then let me go to the next one.
everybody take their hands down because they don't go down automatically.
Oh, wait a minute. It's wrong.
Oh.
And everybody can see this, right? You guys can see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December, the special meeting.
Yeah, and is there a second?
Second.
Is that Greg again?
just Greg.
Okay.
Okay.
Moved by Teresa, seconded by Greg.
I just see a raise of hands. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay. We are adjourned.
Bye, everybody.
All the best. Be good to
Good night,
yourselves.
everyone.
Rest
Good
well.
night.
Stay
So I
positive.
should point out, next week, we do have outreach committee and environmental committee and public safety on Monday.
Yes.
Great.
Public safety and emergency preparedness committee on Monday. So I'll send an email to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
Night. Buenas
Good night.
noches.
Goodness. I saved the chat, Laura, so I will add it
Okay.
next time. Okay.
Okay,
good night.
thank you very much. Appreciate
You're
it. And I don't know if you heard me earlier. I love your hair coming down like this with curls.
Oh,
No, it looks great.
oh, thank
Now,
you.
keeping in mind, I have a mess of COVID hair, but I think it looks great.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I'm
you.
keeping it gray. I'm never dyeing my hair. That's it.
Yeah, well, it looks great. I mean, it really does. Okay, good night.
Okay, good night.